Seb,
Are we ready?
Intros.
Yeah, we ready? Intros. Seb, intros. I'm Seb. I'm with Bex. I'm with Stevel. We're covering the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox, 2009, directed by Wes Anderson.
Yeah, Bex, this is your choice. What's
It
good,
is
bro?
indeed.
What's good, bro?
It is. I'm going to start in. I don't assume either of you have a history because you said this is your first time watching it, right?
First viewing, yeah.
I
ever.
have a weird history with Wes Anderson. Sorry, somebody's just decided to start cutting the hedges. I'll hopefully edit that out of the recording. That's so annoying.
Just outside your window waiting to hear you start.
God, literally, it's been
ear planted to the window
right
like,
now.
he's talking now. He's talking.
What is this? So my first exposure to Wes Anderson was the Darjeeling Limited. And I think that movie is great. It's really fun characters. It's a fun adventure. And I grew up a little bit in India when I was younger, you know? So I was like, this is dope. More recently, I watched Asteroid City. The color grading is like a K-pop music video. And, you know, I'm a big fan of K-pop, so I was excited about that. The sets are really fun. But it sucked. To me, it sucked. I didn't enjoy it. All the characters were one note. And it just wasn't fun. This film is, I really enjoyed it. Thanks for choosing Fantastic Mr. Fox, because, oh my gosh, it's so fun. It's a good time. That's my background, I guess. I only watched it because you chose it.
There's a few that you could pick for Wes Anderson. It's like really, really fun ones and whatever. And there's better movies than this. I think Grand Budapest Hotel would have been an amazing one to do, and I think maybe Isle of Dogs, because they're my favorite too. I think I liked Asteroid City when it came out, but now, like, again, if I sat and watched it now, I'd start picking it apart. When I first seen it, I was like, oh, it's a Wes Anderson movie. I'm picking at all the Wes Anderson things that are really good. But
it
my
feels
history,
like somebody put like Wes Anderson's filmography into AI, and this is what it brought out.
See, when I was watching it, it was like somebody else wrote a movie for him. That's what I felt with it. It was like it wasn't exactly his.
Yeah,
it had his style to it, his quirkiness, his direction, but it felt like a movie anybody else would have made. It wasn't in line with anything else I think he'd made. So it was weird.
Why did you choose this movie then? If you preferred the other ones, why this movie?
I think it's an easy watch compared to the other ones. The other ones, all Wes Anderson movies are a lot of fun. They're quirky. Some of them are emotional, but I think there's something about Fantastic Mr. Fox, the animation style, the music, just everything about this movie is so much easier to show to people than bringing up like the Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs has a whole lot of like background messages. It's another animated movie. There's a lot going on. I'm very
excited to watch that after watching this.
It is amazing. I think if I was to say, I'd say Wes Anderson movies. I think Isle of Dogs is probably my favorite one.
Okay,
especially when I first watched it.
They showed it at the museum all the time when I worked there. We had like a cinema in there, so they'd show like arty movies, you know. So there's lots of Wes Anderson always being shown.
But basically, to get to my history of Fantastic Mr. Fox, when I was growing up, obviously, for anybody that doesn't know, the movie is based off of a book written by Roald Dahl, who's written books like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Twits, The Witches, a whole bunch of like very famous children's books. But when I was growing up, I wasn't really I'd read a few of them, but I wasn't really big into it. And then my brother Callum, shout out to him. This is, I'd say, his favorite director. If I'm wrong, he'll shout at me, but I think Wes Anderson's his favorite director. And 2 years ago, myself and Callum decided that we were going to watch the entire filmography, all the way from Bottle Rocket to, at the time, The French Dispatch, right before Asteroid City had come out, and we watched all of them.
Sitting down and watching it, entire directors. I did that with Christopher Nolan last year. I had a
Christopher
great time.
Nolan's a good one to do as well. That's a very good run of movies to get into. But I'd never seen any of the Wes Anderson movies. Callum had obviously seen a lot of them and had really loved them. And when I first went into it, I was like, oh, all these famous actors that I really, really like are in it. But I think the art style is like really in my head, I was like, his art style is really pretentious. It's such a film bro type of a movie, like, oh my God, it's all stunning and this. But the second I put on, I think Bottle Rocket was fun, but the second I put on the Royal Tenenbaums, I was locked in. I was like, this is really, like, it's so original. I don't think there's another director that I'd like connect to Wes Anderson to be like, this is what his movies look like at all.
Pretentious? I feel like that really describes everybody's initial gut feeling about Wes Anderson films.
There's something
at least everybody I've spoke to, pretentious really you've hit the nail on the head there for me. And I don't think,
like, seeing trailers and stuff, it looks like this guy's making such a la-di-da movie. But when you get into it, half of his stories are so like basic and like down, like very emotionally just like driven movies, instead of this thing that's just like, oh, I'm showing off that I can make all these fancy looking sets and like the style, and I have to make every little moment and everything in my movies so perfect. It's not that. When you actually sit down and watch one of these movies, it's just like very, very fun. So yeah, that was my take on why we got to Wes Anderson, why I watched this movie, and basically why I decided to pick this instead of any other ones, because I think it's the most fun one for somebody who's never seen Wes Anderson properly to just sit down and watch.
It's definitely a great introduction to Wes, this film, I think.
Steve, any takes, any talks?
That was Seb basically just what he said just right now, nailed it for me. This is my first Wes Anderson movie. I'm familiar with like the Grand Budapest Hotel and Asteroid City, but I'd been made aware of them, but never like really checked them out. So simple as when you picked this last week, I was like, oh, I'd read the book by Roald Dahl, and I'm very familiar with like this kind of like this story. Well, the story, and then I was excited to see his take on it. But this is my introduction. This is my first movie of his. So,
do you guys have a favorite Roald Dahl story?
What did he do?
Like, did he do? For me, it was the BFG growing up. I loved that. My mum used to read it to me, and she did all the voices. And did Spielberg make that? Is that Spielberg recently?
I don't even remember. That movie went so under my radar.
No, I didn't really enjoy it very much. But I loved the book growing up. Very British. I think Roald Dahl's stories are very British, and this very much Americanizes. This is a very American take on Roald Dahl with this film right here. Bex, I got something to say to you.
Me? Oh, this sounds like
you picked this movie.
Okay.
And I can think of, like, it's very interesting that you picked this because you are the biggest furry that I know.
Fuck off! Wait. There's a review I caught when I was after watching a movie last night. Somebody wrote a review on the site Letterboxd. This movie is Ocean 11 for furries.
Yeah, I mean it's George Clooney. I was thinking that with that. It's a George Clooney heist movie, but there's a lot of great furry media out there. Like Beastars season 1 is incredible. Season 2 is terrible. Zootopia is fantastic. No, you don't think so?
Zootopia was a great movie, and then I went to the internet and figured out everybody was sexualizing the rabbit. I was like, no.
Well, that started because of fucking. Well, I think it's because of was it the Robin Hood, the animated Robin Hood movie when we were younger?
The one where he's a fox.
Yeah, and Lola Bunny as well from Space Jam just did things to our generation.
Now you're speaking my language.
There we go. We were talking about each other's ages before stream, so I think we just all we all hit that Space Jam level. I don't know, Bex, did you get that?
I watched an awful lot of Space Jam growing up.
Okay, so where I was actually going with that before I called you out was was that Wes shoots very similar to Kubrick, and your first choice was Kubrick. And now your second choice is Wes. Do you love extremely center-weighted shots and symmetry?
I don't know. See, I don't know if I can compare They are very similar in style, but I don't know if I can compare both of them like that. But I think there is something about both of their movies that's just, there's a lot of in your face, a lot of detail, a lot of every little bit has to be to a complete perfection.
They're both
I don't know,
perfectionists.
maybe that's something I need to look into.
You know, the way their cameras move and they're very controlled, and the way that they set their frame, right? Everything on frame has this balance to it. And I don't know. It just shouted very Kubrick to me. This movie, even though it's animated, you know. On the topic about it being animated, this is the first animated movie I've ever managed to get my parents to both sit down and watch with me.
Oh damn!
Because anytime something is animated, no matter how amazing like it is, and I'm trying to tell them, because it's animated, they'll just be like, you know, I think people, I don't want to throw their entire generation in on this, but you know, people of a certain generation see animation and they think this is for children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I definitely had this with teachers growing up. Like, people just wouldn't even watch a Studio Ghibli movie because they're like, oh, anime, that's Japanese cartoon for kids. You know?
I've also never seen a Studio Ghibli movie yet.
Well, this podcast will change that. Yeah.
They've always been on my list. And again, Callum, I'm so sorry. This podcast is just me disappointing you.
That's pretty wild. I can't believe you've never seen a Studio Ghibli movie.
But he's always told me that I should check out this one and that one, and I've just never got around to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's just always, again, I'm not massive into anime in general. I've checked out a few bits and I've liked what I have checked out, but I've just never bit the bullet and given a Studio Ghibli movie a chance.
Well, I think Studio Ghibli is very universal. It's very, anybody from like anywhere can get into those movies, but which is unlike Wes Anderson.
I don't know. Again, it's hard. It's hard when it comes to Wes Anderson movies, because you want to show everybody the good ones, but then the good ones are the ones, in my opinion, that loads of people will have different opinions on where they're not going to enjoy it. Where you can give somebody Fantastic Mr. Fox and be like, go watch this, and 9 out of 10 people are going to come back and be like, that was a really good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I checked out the Rotten Tomatoes, like the criticisms of it, you know, the people who didn't give it a fresh tomato, right? Yeah. And I was looking at that because it really is 9 out of 10. It's got like a 94% on there or something like that. And most of the people who disliked the film, from what I saw, were disliking the director almost on a personal level. They just found him too snobby and were kind of attacking him more than the movie. So I think that really shows the strength of the movie itself, where they were going after things outside of the film to put it down. In terms of Wes Anderson, his style, because I've seen a few of his movies now, but his style lends itself to animation so perfectly. The symmetry, the shot composition, the all of this storybook kind of feel to it, and like the way the scenes will be shot like head on or like exact side profile, and the color palettes that he's using that makes things look like hyper realistic. It's almost like a pop-up book. And that just works to make this movie feel nostalgic to me, because it's like an old storybook that I'm reading, you know. And it is. It's Roald Dahl, so that really works. That's all I got to say before we get into the film itself. I just wanted to get my Wes Anderson-isms out of the way.
I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy Wes Anderson's movies now. I went in when we watched the time when we watched a whole lot of the movies. I really do like them because, like you said, basically every like frame of the movies is kind of like, I don't think there's anybody out there that's making movies that have such a quirky little feel to them, the way that his do, the way that like his characters all feel like when you're watching any Wes Anderson movie, all I can say is every character feels like it's a Wes Anderson character. There's no like comparison to this character's like this person from another movie or anything. It's just straight in, these characters are belonging to a Wes Anderson movie. Looking at every, like if I took a screenshot of any Wes Anderson movie and sent it to you guys, you'd be able to go, that's a Wes Anderson movie. I wouldn't even need to tell you.
It helps that he mostly uses the same cast, you know? He's got like a group of actors that he loves to use.
He's like Adam Sandler. He just hires his friends.
But they're all they're strong actors. Yeah. They're very strong actors. It's not like he's just getting his homies that don't know how to do anything. Big group of
big actors in there.
People seem to love working with him as well.
He seems like a nice guy. I'm excited for this next movie, which I will be for all Wes Anderson movies now. I'll give them all a big look, but his next one's got Michael Cera in it, and I love Michael Cera. And
Has he ever done a Wes Anderson movie before?
No, it's his first time.
He seems like a Wes Anderson character.
Yeah, he genuinely just gives straight up, "You are a Wes Anderson character."
That's
in real
so
life.
perfect. That's wild. This movie stars George Clooney, Meryl Streep, Jason Schwartzman,
Bill Murray.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
It's all-star cast.
A whole list of people in it.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson himself. He's in there. He's in there. He's the he is the I can't remember the animal now, but he's the guy that sells Mr.Fox the tree. That's him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He's in there. I can't remember what animal he was now. It's written somewhere down the line in my notes.
Yeah.
We ready to get into the plot?
Mm-hmm. We can jump in.
I have to ask both of you a question to start, because was there an opening scene for you guys with the version you watched with Petey talking to you, or did you get straight to the hill?
No, it started with the quote from the book about the three farmers.
Right. Yeah, and I have an extra
then it goes
scene.
To the hill.
Oh, okay.
So you watched the Criterion edition, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Criterion edition opens up with the singer guy Petey with the weird glasses that we'll see way down the line. He sings he gives us like a little brief rundown of what the movie's going to be. Basically, just telling us that it's a Roald Dahl book. It's walking us through the main characters that are called Mr. Fox, Mrs. Fox, as we said, voiced by probably the worst Batman ever. Saying it out there, George Clooney. Don't know if that's going to bring up arguments, because I know some people don't like other Batman.
Oh, but it was so cool when at the end of The Flash, when George Clooney shows up and you're just like, oh shit, things about to get real. And then James Gunn rebooted the entire franchise.
Was George Clooney the Batman that couldn't actually physically turn his neck?
No, that was Michael Keaton.
Yeah, George Clooney's nipple Batman.
Oh, yeah.
The nipples on his suit.
He's got a bank card. He's got the bank card.
Was Val Kilmer a Batman, or what?
Val Kilmer was the Batman. Okay. A forgettable one, but I guess he's in between greatness.
Was he the same Batman as George Clooney?
I think was he same character.
I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody.
The only ones I hold the memory for is Michael Keaton's.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Keaton was the best. So
he's great Batman.
He's great.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
Again, in The Flash, he's fantastic. He's so good, guys. So good.
I dread it. The episode's coming. I know it is. It's slowly creeping in, and I swear to God, it'll be the first actual argument on this podcast. It'll start me closer
to The Flash. like how that was the end of the DC Cinematic Universe. That'll be the end of the podcast.
Felicity Fox is the name of Mr. Fox's wife, who is acted by Meryl Streep. Massive actress.
She's just huge. She's so small, isn't she? She's massive.
Yeah.
So small.
She's so small. She's hench. All right, Meryl Streep is hench. She works out. P.E. tells us that both of them in this intro were the chicken stealers by trade, so we get a little bit of a background that they both were in the chicken stealing business.
Mm-hmm.
He then decides to describe all of our three farmers that we're going to be seeing, and it gives us like really cool. I wish you'd seen it. It's like they basically laid the figures out on like white sheets, and then these all like words were popping up all around them, and it looks just again like the rest of the movie does. It's just really
because there is a description of the farmers in the movie itself.
Yeah, and then there's I don't know why
and stuff.
This little bit just has like extra more. I don't know. It's just Wes Anderson messing around with another figure doing more stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Who have we got? We've got Farmer Boggis, who's voiced by Robin Hurlstone. I don't think he did an awful lot more other movies. I looked into all of them.
I've not heard
he
the
hasn't
name
done
before.
an awful lot. Bunce, who's done by Hugo Guinness, who also has done many other things, and maybe one other credit to his name. And then Farmer Bean, who was voiced by the absolutely amazing, and Harry Potter fans will know him, Michael Gambon, who did Dumbledore all the way towards the last couple of movies after the first one, who obviously passed away last September. So he's amazing in it. I think he's really good.
That's
But
where
that's
I recognize his
what we
voice
got.
from. That's cool.
That's what we
Yeah.
got at the beginning. That's everything we had. And then we just come into our quiet autumn afternoon, top of the hill, right behind an orange and yellow sky. But on my thing here, Pete, he says it's a pink sky. And I'm just like, Pete, man, wrong colors. So
it's very peachy, isn't it? It's peachy, orangey.
Yeah. Are we ready to get straight into the proper bit then?
We can get
I have
into
this.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got
right.
the specs. Take us on this journey.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of notes, so if there's parts where I start rambling, actually just cut in and be like, right, we're getting to the next piece because there's a lot here.
Absolutely.
So then we open up to a shot of a meadow with the words, Baggis and Bunce and Bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible crooks, so different in looks, were none the less equally mean. It's written right on our screen. And later on in the movie, there's like a little song where there's a bunch of kids singing this as well, which it gets stuck in your head. All the music in this movie will get stuck in your head.
I was about to say, have you read the Roald Dahl story?
No, this is one I definitely haven't got to. And I even went looking for it yesterday, and for the life of me, couldn't find a way to read it.
Yeah, I should have read it before we got on here. But just you saying it like that, it almost forces you to sing it. The way that the words are written, if you say them out loud, it pushes you into singing it. Or maybe that's because we've heard it's another earworm. This movie has this song about the three farmers, and it repeats throughout the movie, and it's so catchy and so fun. It's much nicer than the. You know what? I think I prefer the gonk actually from last week. I think I prefer the gonk.
There's one song in here that just like sticks into my head.
Yeah.
I think it's like the main theme song. I like it a lot. I like it. I think Gonk is an S tier song, but I don't know. I think there's something about just the loveliness of some of the music that's in this, where it's like real joyful and stuff that I really enjoy. But Gonk, S tier. Go listen to Gonk again. Anybody's listening to this, go listen to the Gonk again. Just never let it leave your life.
Go listen to the Gonk right now. This song opens. This movie opens with a song. Do you know the song?
For the life of me, I should have had this written down.
It's the Ballad of Davy Crockett, the Wellingtons, right?
Yes, it's playing on the little radio thing that Mr.Fox has on his hip, isn't it?
It's about the King of the Wild or something like that. It's cool. It's cool. It makes sense.
Alexander Desplat, that's the composer for the movie. Very, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
The music is awesome. The sound effects are great as well. Like, and just visually, it's fantastic. Just what a well-made movie. So dope. Go on, Bex. I'm sorry.
It's beautiful. No. It's totally fine. Like I said, to do this because otherwise I'm going to be here rambling about colors and trees and hills.
Let's go for it. Let's just go for it.
So then we cut to an absolutely fucking beautiful opening scene where we have a shot of a tree on top of a hill. The entire like background is that orangey, peachy kind of yellow that like Seb said, where it's so surreal. It doesn't even look like it's real, but for some reason it looks like it should be, and it's just it's so nice. It's so beautiful.
Really pops. And the saturation in his movies, in Wes Anderson movies, is so almost oversaturated. Again, it makes you understand that you're looking at a story take place.
Yeah.
This isn't real. It's hyper real. This is you're watching these characters, you know.
Actually, before I even get into it, Steve, you're like studying all of film and stuff. Does Wes Anderson movies ever kind of get talked about in your studies?
Last year, the Grand Budapest Hotel was mentioned quite a bit, and Isle of Dogs, and they were just they were talking about like the lecturer was like going into the whole kind of like aspect of surrealism is how she stated it, because it's like you would look at you would look at the way his composition was, or the way his scene was shot, and you were saying, like, there's no way you'd actually think this could be real, but there it is, real on the screen, like before your eyes. It's like, it's just he goes against the grain of like how you would normally like set up a scene, or how you would normally shoot a scene. He likes to put his own like spin on it, but it's as equally as effective. Like if you would like have a Wes Anderson scene like next to just a regular scene, his one would be more over, like, saturated, and like the way like the backdrop would be against the actors, but it would be no less like realistic, if that makes sense. It's like how we could frame things in a realistic manner, but then in a way have them come across as like very out there sort of thing.
You know, when I was learning photography, you spend so much time looking at composition, the rule of thirds, the way everything lines up, and the balance of what is on the screen. You know, like your frame is split into like 9, or you're 2 lines across, 2 lines down. And these are like film basics that I think every filmmaker like learns. But what he's done is he took the basics and he became the master of the basics.
Yeah.
At least to me, anyway, because there is such a basic feel, and so it's so simply satisfying to look at a Wes Anderson movie, and to look at this movie in particular. It's just really satisfying. I don't know if I've already said that. I got COVID brain fog right now. I'm sorry, guys.
No, you're 100%. You haven't said it right. You're fine.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm recovering from COVID. So I got back from Spain last week. I caught COVID on my travels, so I've been wrecked all week. So my notes for this are more all over the place than usual, I think.
Rest in peace, Seb. May he resurrect again.
Just dying in bed, being like, what does the fox mean?
What is the symbolism of the fox?
What does the fox say? What does the fox mean?
Oh, not what does the fox say?
Bring it back.
You love this, Bex. You love all the Fox movies.
Yeah, where was this song in this movie? You know, it was before its time.
It should have been in. It should have been in. They should have had a choir of kids singing it. Like
painful.
So we've got, where are we? We got Beavis and Butthead and
Mr. Fox standing on top of his hill doing his workout.
Oh yeah, he's got like a cool Walkman, doesn't he?
Is he potentially the best dressed animal in any movie ever?
Yep.
Possibly. I think the rat in the movie layer might be a little bit of he's stylish. I'm just saying that.
The rat's pretty stylish.
And then up walks Mrs. Fox or Miss Fox, and they talk about how somebody is sick. They're going to need to take some medication. We don't really get a lot about that, but it'll be talked about later on throughout the movie.
Okay.
And then the song Mr. Fox in the Fields, which is probably my favorite song in the movie, starts playing. Anybody that maybe is listening to the podcast, go listen to the song as well after the podcast. It's a really catchy song. It's really, really nice. And then we get straight to the work with the animation. It's straight to it. They're running off the hill. The animation style is, I can't fathom how people do stop motion movies. It must be agonizingly long to do stop motion. But in this, it's any of us probably have grown up. We watched Wallace and Gromit, I'd imagine. Have both you guys seen Wallace and Gromit?
This movie is very Chicken Run vibes for me.
Yeah. There's so much that I would like compare to that. But for some reason, when it comes to Wallace and Gromit, I feel like because the claymation stop animation is done, they move a little bit more realistically. Where in this, they're like popping around, jumping around. Like,
this is more cartoony in a sense. Yeah. It's also very frantic.
Yeah, it is very frantic.
And maybe that's because with the claymation that you get from Aardman, but the guys who do Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run, it's everything is very controlled, where these are like furry textured characters. So each frame has the fur, it's gonna be different. It's gonna move with the way that it's been made. Also, I'm pretty sure he used like a lot of natural materials to make all the backgrounds and stuff. Like they're using bits of trees and things like that. When they're recording, if it's like a scene in the woods, I think they went out to the woods to record. So you get like a very natural performance as well. So they're not just like voice actors in a booth, if you know what I mean.
And most of the clothes as well is all made from the same tailor that does Wes Anderson suits himself, and he's a very snazzy dressed man. He's a very snazzy dressed man.
Okay, who's the best dressed director?
Okay,
who's the best dressed director?
Best dressed director.
This
is like a hard question. Everybody I'm thinking of wears fucking sliders and tracksuit bottoms.
Is it Kevin Smith? You know, Kevin Smith.
No. Fuck Kevin Smith, man. Sorry, Callum, again, I'm sorry, right? I know you love him. Fuck Kevin Smith, man.
You see how he dresses. It's so cool, man.
A big oversized like shirt that's a sports shirt. He's got a hat on that he's been wearing for the last 30 fucking years. He's got cargo shorts and then trainers. They're like, what are you doing?
I like Dave Filoni's big cowboy hat.
Dave Filoni's big cowboy hat.
He's a cool guy. I think it's fucking Christopher Nolan. I think he's the best. He dresses like a James Bond character.
Smart. Yeah. Scorsese, he's just living in the I'm an old man now era. He used to be in suits. Now he's just wearing like a golf polo shirt and little pants that are pulled up over his stomach.
Yeah.
God, directors are funny.
Weird people, aren't they? Crazy.
Yeah.
Wild.
Where have we? So from here, Mr. and Mrs. Fox are making their way towards a squab farm. I had to look up what a squab was, even though the movie does tell me what it is.
What is it?
It's like a pigeon. It's just a pigeon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a pigeon. But I was like, what the hell is a squab? So I looked it up.
About a because that's the noise they'll make. Squab.
That could be a shout, you know. Maybe they call them that because of that.
That's what I thought, anyway.
And their plan is that they're going in there to get themselves some food. There's a moment in there where Mr. Fox is kind of he's moving on some unlimited. This man is smooth. I'll give Mr. Fox this. He's very, very smooth, and he tells his wife that she's practically glowing. And there's a really cool shot here that I really like. It cuts back to the both of them kind of standing on frame, and Mrs. Fox is turned into like a plastic version of her model that's actually got a light inside of it, making her glow.
Is
so
that
it's like a visual? Yeah, it's
okay,
really, really cool.
And he like waves his hand in front of her, and the glow doesn't disappear. It's not the lighting.
It's
just
so
many like quippy little quirky jokes, you know, that's what Wes Anderson's kind of known for as well. So they're really cool. I think in this movie they work a lot more. In some movies, I've seen Wes Anderson's humor described as impenetrable in the past. So this is very penetrable humor.
It's very like this compared to most. Some of the other movies, you're kind of like, you need to have a big brain, then it'll go over my head for most of it. I'm just like, I don't understand what they're actually joking about. Absolutely. In here, it's like they're talking to adults that are going to be sat with their kids. They know they're doing that. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple of adult jokes that are like, if you're in the cinema, you're going to obviously be there with your child. So we're giving you your little joke, which I like when animated movies do that. I love when there's a little joke that kids will like laugh at, but they won't have a clue what it's actually about. It's like, how did that get in there?
If you're a parent listening to this, please let me know. Please let us know. Type a comment or send us a tweet or something. Let us know. Did your kid enjoy this film? Because this film works very well for an adult audience, even though I think it is targeted towards children. It's a Roald Dahl story adaptation. But I don't know how well this works as a kid's movie. I think as a kid, I would have rather watched a Wallace and Gromit or a Chicken
Run
Run
over this. This feels too mature for me. If I was a kid, I'd have sat and watched the Wallace and Gromit. But this feels smart. I enjoy the quick action of this as well, but I don't think there's enough of it to keep a kid's attention span. And the movie is very short. It's less than 90 minutes, right? It's a very short film. It was very, very quick. Yeah.
This whole beginning scene is very fast. It's very. I was almost a bit taken aback when I first saw them like in motion when they this first heist.
Yeah, when they're doing the run, and we have the following like trolley cam where they're kind of, we're watching them coming from the left side of the screen to the right side, and they're like jumping and jolting, and they're doing little weird star like jump animations.
It's very
and stuff.
like a platforming 2D side scroller video game. I liked that. Yeah. I liked that a lot.
And once they get in here, they manage to get themselves trapped because, of course, our character that we're going to have to talk a lot about throughout the movie, Mr. Fox himself, is a little bit of an overly confident little bastard.
Do you like Mr. Fox?
We will get into it. I think there's a lot to be said about the character of Mr. Fox.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of like shittier moments, but then there's a big moment towards the end that kind of makes you go, "Oh, I see why he's like that." You know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
fair. We'll get into it.
His overconfidence gets himself caught in a fox trap that was the most obvious trap in the world. There's literally a little string above him, pulls it, bang, cage is landed on him. As this happens, because they're trapped and there's nowhere for either of them to go, Mrs. Fox reveals that she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be starting a family. There's a moment in here that happens throughout the whole entire movie multiple times. Anytime the animals face towards the camera, it freaks me the fuck out. Their faces are so uncanny and weird. It doesn't look like an animal, but it looks like a person.
That's what I'm telling you. Is these head-on shots are just, it's hyper real. It's weird. Yeah, it's like they're popping out the screen at you.
They're fucking hilarious.
I'm saying that we've got this horrible GIF in the Discord that's constantly spinning. I've been staring at it. It's like hypnotic. It's off. Who is that character? Is that his son?
Was that Christopherson? Is that the one you sent in? Steve.
Is it Christopherson? Right, yeah. It's a head-on shot of him. Yeah, it's really freaky.
I think they're the one that's in the cider cellar of when he's hiding behind the bottle. I think that's my favorite. The whole movie of where he's like staring into the camera. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And then there's just something. There's something a bit like. What, like a little bit weird about Mr. Fox. He the way he reacts to even figuring out, he's just like, oh, that's great. He's like, that's great news behind his gritted teeth, because there's an entire like theme of this movie about Mr. Fox wanting to be more on his wild side. And I think here, this moment, he kind of realizes he's going to have to give the life up that he has now, which Miss Fox has asked him to do.
He seems excited that he's going to have a kid. And then she says, all right, if we survive this, you are not going to do this line of work anymore. And I think that's when the weight of reality hits him. And it's like, oh, that part of my life is over. And they managed to show that through a puppet of a fox with dead eyes. So that's really impressive that they can do that. That's what it is about these front-on shots, these head-on shots. It's that you see the eyes straight on and they're very dead because they're very still, right? I think that's what's so weird about it.
Also, just the voice acting in this carries a lot of weight to it as well. Everybody, obviously, we don't even need to kiss their asses anymore. It's fucking huge actors in here. And everybody that does have a talking role in it does a really, really good job with, portraying whatever animal they've been given. They're really, really good. We get a time jump, which is 2 years later or 12 Fox years later, because every time there's a time jump, they will tell you how much Fox years have also passed.
So cool. Yeah,
it's so just a little like quirky about it. It's funny.
Yeah.
We get a really kind of depressing shot of a burrow in a hill, where we had this like grand idea and a nice beautiful tree at the start, and now we have this like dull kind of, if for a Wes Anderson movie, it's a very grayed out kind of shot of just a hill with a burrow in it, where we now learn that the Fox family live.
They're living in a hole in the ground.
Yeah. Which Mr. Fox has now decided that he has left his life of going stealing squabs, and he's now writing for a newspaper that nobody reads. They don't read his little article at all. And we get introduced to Ash Fox, which is the son of our Fox family, who is voiced by Jason Schwartzman, who plays one of the characters, one of my favorite movies, Scott Pilgrim. He's Gideon Grey. Very, very good in that too.
Oh, he is.
He's very good in it.
This is my favorite performance of the film. I think his voice is just perfect for this character. Jason Schwartzman is just... It's so good. And this is how he sounds in like every movie, really. But it's just dope as Ash. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I love all of we're seeing all of the different character designs now, and they're
I like
so
even
good.
how he looks in his little
so
like his uniform not his uniform, his little outfit. He's got a little cape. We got our first little shitty moment from Mr. Fox here, because Ash comes in and he's complaining about feeling sick and he doesn't want to go to school. And Felicity instantly like shuts it down. He's like, "No, you're going, whatever." And Mr. Fox, like he's lost in his paper and he kind of just gives her like a little comment. He's like, "I like how you handled that." He didn't get involved in it at all, which is a massive conversation about himself and Ash the whole way through the movie. But like he's so lost in his own little piece of writing in the newspaper that like Miss Fox has to go and deal with the situation, and all he does is acknowledge it with a little line like, "Oh, I like how you dealt with that." You know, that kind
of right from the beginning he's already alienating Ash, which sucks because they're both suffering with their inadequacies throughout the movie.
Where I've lost my note there. Shit. I scrolled and I went into the middle. I have no idea where I actually am now. Oh my god, go back up to the top. Hold on a second. I'll be back.
Like while you're looking for your note, like that's the whole theme of the like Mr. Fox has his old kind of struggles with inadequacies, and I guess because he becomes so kind of like consumed with them, it almost stops him from kind of like helping his son with his own inadequacies, and you'll see throughout the movie when another character arrives, those inadequacies that his son is feeling, Ash is feeling, become all the more kind of like prevalent, and it's like they're like as much. That's why I was like when you two were talking about like it feels like it's written for children, but there's so many themes there that like older viewers will understand, where kids will see it as just it's a Fox family.
A lot of kids' stories follow the almost coming of age kind of thing, but this is like a midlife crisis that we're following here. That we're about to follow. We're about to get on with. That we're about to see that's what he's going through. Fantastic Mr. Fox is going through a midlife crisis, and he becomes a very selfish character. I don't know if he was selfish beforehand, but he becomes a very selfish character. I'm not the biggest fan of Mr. Fox. I don't know if that's coming through.
I kind of agree with the same as that. As I'm not a big fan of the character. Everybody else is so quirky and happy and lovely to each other, and then there's Mr. Fox who's very selfish about himself and cocky, and them kind of characters kind of get a little bit draining when it comes to stories that when they're not on the same kind of vibe as everybody else, being so happy and lovely and cheerful. They kind of just drains the character a little bit.
So where we're at is Mr. Fox is talking to his wife and he's telling her that he's not happy living in a hole. And he wants to get out of the hole, right?
Before that, we've just got to mention that cousin Christopherson is going to be coming to live with the Fox family as his father has fallen ill, which the conversation at the beginning of the movie about somebody being sick and needing to take medication is all about Christopherson's father.
That was setting up the double pneumonia.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, as Seb mentioned, there's a conversation and there's the quote that comes with this movie that is Mr. Fox cuts out a picture of a giant tree that's on a hill that's meant to be like, if you look in a newspaper now, whoever still reads newspapers, there'll be like little sections saying for rent houses or to buy houses, and this tree is his version of the dream house, as it's said in Barbie. What is it? The Mojo Dojo Casa House. This is Mr. Fox's Mojo Dojo Casa House. And he says to his wife, "I don't want to live in a hole anymore. It makes me feel poor." And she hits her with a reply, "We are poor, but we're happy." And I'm going to get a little bit deep with this. So we're getting a little bit deep with an early Mr. Fox thing. I don't know you guys from growing up. I don't know you guys from small, so I don't know what your lives were like growing up. But as somebody who's kind of unfortunately, not that I would say I'd change anything, but unfortunately when I was growing up, we weren't entirely the most financially kind of like stable situation. Like, and this line, and especially when I first watched it, because I watched it with Callum, and it's like two of us are well aware of what our upbringing was like. kind of hearing somebody say something like that and knowing that you've also felt that way, that you've been in that situation where you've like where everybody around you is growing up and they have this or they have that and you didn't. To hear a line from the character like Mr. Fox saying that he doesn't want to be poor anymore, like I don't know. I'm like slightly rambling now because
this is where what he has to learn. He needs to learn to be content with what he has. Yeah. And if you grow up poor, and if you grow up in like austerity, that is a lesson that you learn very early on. I moved around a lot. We didn't have too much money growing up. I moved away from friends a lot of the time, so I try not to take for granted what I have in life, you know. That's me. And Mr. Fox, he takes everything for granted. What an asshole. Maybe by the end of the movie he'll change his ways, maybe he won't.
Well, something here. Ash, we have had Ash coming back out. Then he's been told he has to go to school, and he comes out in his little drippy outfit. And Mr. Fox makes like a weird comment about why he's dressed like that. He doesn't like he doesn't like the outfit that he's wearing, which is clearly annoying Ash. But he kind of brushes him off as being different. Yeah. Right. And every time I say different, I'm going to do what they do because I've done it every time. When I say the word different, I do little hand gestures.
Yeah. I was doing it with you saying different.
Me and Callum do this as well. Every time, like, kind of do the little, like, are they a bit different? And we do, like, the hands, you know what I mean? So we have that. So, like, Mr. Fox just ravages some food and he heads on out. But, like, there's straight away from the beginning of the movie, you've got two instances of Mr. Fox just kind of like belittling Ash, not giving him any kind of proper attention, any kind of like, you know, parental love at all. It's kind of shipped off to Mrs. Fox to do it, and then he just goes about doing his business because again,
he's maybe jealous of Ash's youth, you know. That's what it feels like to me. You spoke about how Mr. Fox eats. I think that it's hilarious that every time a character is eating in this, that is when the true animalistic side comes out. Yeah. Because you're almost watching humans walking around in fursuits, you know? Yeah. But
like they're all bipedal.
Fursuits.
But as soon as they eat, that's when you see that, oh, these are wild animals, because it's just tearing the meal apart with his, like, you know, he's not using knife and fork or anything. They're just like head into the plate. It's so funny.
From there, then we cut off to speak about the giant tree. He's heading in to be shown around the giant tree. We get introduced to Kylie the opossum. Too innocent for the world that he's living in. Growing cut off with some weird stuff. He's voiced by Wallace Wolodarski. I might pronounce that wrong, the second name, but that's who he's voiced by. Another person that just shows up in numerous Wes Anderson movies. Yeah. He's in Fixing a Sink as Wes Anderson Animal, which I still, for the life, I don't have it written here, but he is the guy that's showing Mr. Fox around. I don't know why I didn't write down what animal he actually is, but he's the one that's showing around.
I'm gonna Google that.
Yeah.
But he's showing him inside, and like we get introduced to Kylie, who does this weird stare straight into the camera. His eyes blank out, and Wes Anderson's Animal just describes him as the different again to Mr. Fox. He just says he's a little different. I really like Kylie as a character. I think he's a little bit of the, you know, the shyer kind of innocent friend that's drawn into the group, and he brings out a couple of little funny moments throughout it. But after that, I can't find what Wes Anderson plays.
Second. I just keep getting like articles. Why does Wes Anderson hate cats?
What did you Google for that?
What animal does Wes Anderson play? Look, it's from the New Yorker. There's a bunch of different articles about why Wes Anderson, the reason why Wes Anderson loves killing animals.
He's a weasel. He's a weasel. He's Stan Weasel, isn't he? Cool. I had it written somewhere. Just
why does Wes Anderson hate pets? This is from Far Out magazine.
There's a reason for this. There's a reason. In a lot of movies that were live action movies, especially the Royal Tenenbaums, some pets get an awful go. A dog just randomly gets hit with a car at one point in Royal Tenenbaums when it really didn't need to be hit with a car. So there's a very heavy theme. That's why the movie, and Callum has told me this and I've always remembered it, that's why the movie I Love Dogs sounds like I Love Dogs. It was him telling people he doesn't actually hate animals.
Right, okay. Guys, there's a great resource out there on the internet. Does the dog die? I'd go on that website if you're a dog lover before watching a film, just prepare yourself.
My favorite one that's in games is Can You Pet That Cat? And it's just a Twitter page that tells you if you can pet the cat.
Can you pet the
dog? While we're inside the tree, there's a little bit of a weird moment. For somebody that's desperate to get out of his burrow, Mr. Fox is very peculiar about the kind of wood that he wants. He wants a pine tree where they're not in the pine tree, and he's very peculiar. Do you think, like, once you're trying to get out of life, you just want to move into whatever fucking bigger, better tree?
No, he's got this idea of what he exactly wants, but he ends up deciding that this is the place that he wants once he sees what is outside the window,
Tree farms are Bogus Bunsen Bean right in walking distance from this tree. So
yeah,
our old Fox is he's not entirely gone because he's got a little scheme, which we cut to Badger, Beaver, and Beaver, attorneys at law.
Who plays Badger?
So good. Badger is done by probably the most popular and most used Wes Anderson actor in Bill Murray.
Bill Murray? Yeah,
it is Bill Murray. Bill Murray's fucking amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. I love Bill Murray. I love him absolutely to death. They are residing
Remember Bill Murray in Space Jam, guys. It all comes back.
Bill Murray loves furries.
The original furry, Bill Murray. He's the OG.
Off the tongue, yeah.
Badger warns Fox to not move into the tree, as it's right next to the farmers, and it would be definitely dangerous move for Mr. Fox. And this is where we get our full-on description, and I have it all written out. Bogus is a chicken farmer, maybe the most successful in the whole world. He weighs the same as a young rhino. He eats 3 chickens every day for breakfast, lunch, supper, and dessert, which is 12 in total.
Wow.
Then we have Nate Bunce. He's a duck and a goose farmer. He's approximately the same size as a pot-bellied dwarf.
Right.
And his chin would be underwater in the shallow end of any swimming pool on the planet. He eats homemade donuts with goose livers smashed up into them. And then we have the main antagonist of the movie, which is Frank Bean. He's a turkey and apple farmer, having also invented his own species of both. His diet is entirely existing of strong alcoholic cider, which he makes from his own apples. He's as skinny as a pencil, as smart as a whip, and probably the scariest man currently living. And we get a nice little shot of showing all of this.
Description right
here. It's so incredibly laid out.
It's awesome. I love how they all have these weird fucking diets. As a guy who has a weird diet, I adore that they have weird diets.
Like 12 chickens a day, and then you have the duck liver, and then you've just literally the last guy who
is just an alcoholic.
He's just an alcoholic. He's just a chronic alcohol drinker. Yeah, no?
Just living up cider. He's skinny and lives up cider. He's always angry.
To be fair, later this scene when we see all that cider there, I get it. Yeah. I just kind of get it. It looked so good. It unrealistically just I could live off that cider.
Like the golden syrup or something like that.
There's when we get to a little point with Rat, he mentions something about
the Rat calls it like something.
What have we then? We have, after we get the description of our tree farmers and what they do and why there'd be actual work for Mr. Fox to know any of this information, Badger plays us the song that we mentioned earlier, which is the little rhyme about all 3 of the farmers. He plays it on like a little tape player on his table.
So Badger is trying to dissuade Fox from buying this tree house.
Yeah.
He's like, this place is dangerous for animals like you. Because there's farmers there.
Yeah.
Look how scary these guys are. Look, the little kids sing scary songs about them.
Yeah.
And obviously, having met our character, Mr. Fox decides that he's going to ignore Badger's advice and get we get the first scene of us using the word cuss.
Cuss, yeah.
here,
Which is-
where the two
You
animals
cussing
start
with me?
fighting.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, are you the cuss you are you cussing with me?
I laughed out loud at this.
It's a very fun way
tickled
to
me
do
so
swearing.
much, yeah.
it's
I'm
so
definitely going to
good.
take that on in real life now and use that. It's so good.
Then once they've had their little cuss off, they kind of start to get a little bit feral. They stop saying words and start growling and like swinging their hands. And the camera's like spinning around with the two of them.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of slump down back into their chairs, and Badger just goes, "Okay, I'll buy the tree."
Every time they allow themselves to be a bit wild, they have to go back to being
Yeah.
like people again, you know?
Yeah.
I have a nice little fun fact here. I don't know if you guys would have caught this. We next cut to a militia of squirrels bringing furniture and working on the tree, right?
Yeah.
So the first squirrel that's instructing all of the other squirrels to do all of their lifting and whatever is voiced by Roman Coppola, who is the son of Francis Ford Coppola, who is obviously the director of the Godfather trilogy and Apocalypse Now and numerous other movies.
Yeah.
So we've got some Coppola connections to Wes Anderson too, So
very cool. We should do some Coppola at some point.
Yeah.
I'm scared to.
Okay.
I'm going to say something now, and people are going to kill me. First Godfather, I love. Second one is okay, and the third one is bad. I've never seen Apocalypse Now. I've avoided Apocalypse Now. Because everybody's hyped it up so much to the point where if I watch it now and I don't like it, I just feel like I'm going to upset people.
Okay.
So that's why that one. Because again, he is such a prolific like director. Like everybody will tell you that every movie he's ever made is amazing. But when you're already not big into war movies and then you're told that this is the war movie, I'm just like, I don't know.
I think it's real awesome. It's definitely not my favorite war movie, but these directors will take, because I'm not into war movies as a genre, but then certain directors will just make a really good one, like Dunkirk, you know. So that
I seen Dunkirk in cinema when it came out, and it was I don't know why I went to see it.
It's one of the best cinematic experiences I've ever had.
It was very, very good.
So dope.
Yeah. And again, this is from like you, somebody that's not into war movies. When I came out of that, I was just like, okay. Damn,
yeah, I get them now. I'm going to go watch more war movies. And then I couldn't find ones as good. Until Apocalypse Now is very good. And Hacksaw Ridge is real dope.
Hacksaw Ridge is probably my favorite. I like that.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield's just great. I love Andrew Garfield.
Best Spider-Man?
No.
He's best Spider-Man.
We're not getting the best Spider-Man is clearly Tobey Maguire. It is. It just is. It's not even competition.
No.
As much as I love.
No.
What? You're chatting shit. He might not be a good Peter. Spider-Man is amazing. He's a Peter I can get, right? It's Tobey Maguire being Peter Parker. It's a bit weird and it's meme to hell. If we didn't have memes, the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy would have not been torn apart as much as it gets. That's all I'm saying.
It still gets a lot of love though, and like retrospect now, it's good to see. It still gets more love than it should.
More love than it should.
Insane take right here. Insane.
I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Well,
they're amazing.
First two are great.
And just to get on it, Andrew is a very good Spider-Man and a terrible Peter. There's not even a Peter to enjoy from Andrew Garfield.
I think it's the opposite.
You think it's the opposite?
His Spider-Man's actually the funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What you need if you've read Spider-Man comics and you know Spider-Man, Tobey's was missing the actual humor. He had his little quips, his little one-liners, but Andrew came with the actual Spider-Man humor, where his Peter was like, oh, okay, cool. He's too cool to be Peter. He's a little bit too he wasn't nerdy enough as Peter, if that makes sense.
In terms of casting, Andrew Garfield, he does not look like a guy that would get bullied at high school. Whereas Tobey Maguire, he looks like a guy who would be bullied, but he also looks about 40 in those films.
Yeah, everybody in that movie is too old to be in that movie.
It's that. Who's that? Who did that famous How do you do, fellow high schoolers or something
Steve
like
Buscemi.
Yeah, it's the Steve Buscemi meme. That's what it is.
that? Toby just embodies that, in the movies.
And
controversially,
Yeah,
I like Tom Holland. I like him as a Spider-Man.
No.
His Peter doesn't do enough.
I think he's like,
a lot of people say he's the Iron Boy, which I get, right? The movies have fed him basically your Iron Man 2.0. But there's something about his Spider-Man. He doesn't do enough as Peter to give him
they
Peter.
need to give him more ground level stories, because he's always been in these big epic stories. Like, this is why I love the Ms. Marvel show, because like it's on the ground level for the most part.
Yeah, Ms. Marvel was actually decent
until it gets to the end, and then it's just lasers in the sky again.
But hopefully for Spider-Man 4, we'll be getting grounded. That's the rumors, but then Sony's stupid, weird nose is in everything, and they don't know when to stop. So, who knows what'll happen. But anyway, foxes. We're not talking Spider-Man.
Foxes. We get away from spiders and we get to foxes. Where are we?
Cousin Christopherson has now shown up at the house.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Fox, when Christopherson shows up, Mr. Fox sees Felicity. I'm going to keep calling her Felicity, because if I say Mr. and Mrs. Fox the whole way through, my brain will get them mixed up and mix them up at some point.
Yeah.
She's painting something, and he comments, "Still painting thunderstorms, I see." To which she kind of replies, "Do you still feel poor?" And he replies, "Less so, because they've moved into their big tree house now. He's got his dream house."
Yeah.
So he's starting to feel like a little bit more of what he wanted. He has. It's like he should be happy with what he has here with the house, the family, but then there's still something in that reply. He's not entirely committed to it. He's not like he just says less.
I think that is mirrored in the painting, where you've got this amazing, beautiful landscape, and then the thunderstorm is
just brewing.
It's that's Mr. Fox. He's the thunderstorm.
Yeah.
It's yin and yang, That's she's
the dark cloud hanging over that perfect house is him.
Yeah, it's him.
So
very Kubrick, very shining.
Very Kubrick. Only, we have to give him props. I've never heard a single story of Wes Anderson abusing anybody in any kind of way. So
that's to bring this
big
up
props.
With every director we talk about.
Wes Anderson, has come across as a very nice guy, and I've never heard anybody say that they didn't like working with him, which is proven because most of his movies, fucking like 80% of the cast are the exact same as what was right before it, with just added new people sprinkled into it. So
and he makes movies kind of he was an indie director for the longest time, and he makes movies on more of a budget than your normal Hollywood your normal Hollywood movies. And it seems like the cast just want to be in the movie to work with Wes Anderson for the most part, anyway. So that's nice.
Wow.
So Christopherson is doing some diving.
Yeah.
The son and the cousin are doing diving, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And Ash's one is a little bit of a flail. He jumps in. He's not great. And Mr. Fox just kind of brushes him off. He's like,
he's
yeah,
not
it was
even
cool.
Watching, he's reading his newspaper again, isn't he?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, haha, that was great. Make sure you tuck your tail next. Amazing. But then when Christopherson does it, he does a perfect little dive. He's perfect, and he gets in and the water barely splashes. And Mr. Fox kind of like jumps up out of where he was sitting. He was like, oh, that was amazing. It was so good. You're amazing, which is straight off. Again, more shitty parenting from Mr. Fox. He could have said it for both of them. He could have just said to Ash, oh, yeah, that was amazing. Oh, great. And then did the same. But no, he's to shit all over Ash and be like, yeah, you're not doing good enough. You need to improve. Where the cousin has now come in and he's amazing. And I know, again, from life experiences myself and Callum growing up, there's so many times when my mom and dad would do the same thing. One of our cousins would live in England and they'd come over on holiday, right? Not going to name our cousin, not going to call her out like that, but they like every single time they'd come on holiday, me and Callum, you could nearly see it in our heads. We'd be gone red in the head from being like, why are we not getting talked to like this? Why is it they do something and they're amazing and we do thing we're so shit? So I can see like in Ash's character where the character Christopherson just pisses him off.
We've all had moments like this where somebody has came in and done something better than us, but we've put so much thought into it and effort into it, whereas that person hasn't. And Christopherson is a very understated character. Like, he does all of these amazing things, these fantastic, foxy things, but he's never trying to prove anything. And that's why he's so much more likable compared to Mr. Fox and his son, who's like, his son is very likable, but he's always he's got something to prove.
Yeah.
And that in real life, it's not nice to be around somebody like that. In my opinion, too much anyway.
No.
Yeah.
In this movie, though, like, as much as that is, it gives with reason. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of understand why Ash is like that from the get go of why Mr. Fox is like.
It's very
well
done.
So you get it.
It's well explained in the film.
Yeah.
So my note here is their son is jelly.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
Is this where I don't remember if this is it, but he's reading the newspaper. Is this where he sees that there's like 40% discount on like balaclavas?
Yes. Yeah. There's like a little, again, like an advert section, like the big tree in his newspaper. He's the only person getting any use out of this newspaper by the sounds of things.
Have you ever paused it and read the newspaper?
I
should do that.
His first article is up in the house. I read that. I was like, it is nonsensical because it cuts off the bottom half of the page. So I can't make sense of what's actually being said. So you get his opening paragraph, and I think you get like a middle section, and then you get his closing. So you're not getting big lumps out of it. So I was just like, I'm not going to pause up now and read the other bits that might pop up. But I'm sure if you did, there's probably really cool Easter eggs and little pieces written in there.
But yeah, what really stands out is the big, like, there's money off balaclavas, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get these.
Who's making an ad that big for selling just balaclavas?
It's just for him. It's just the world is speaking to him.
The newspaper is just his.
He needs to go out and do a job.
From there, we get a scene then where Mr. Fox gets a little bit existential to the absolute wrong person, because he's talking to Kylie, who has the attention span of an actual goldfish. Yeah. But he's kind of asking, he's like, who am I? Like, why is it that I was born a fox and not like an animal, like a horse or something? And he feels that no matter what he has in his life, he's never going to be happy unless he has that. And then he does like quotations, a chicken in his teeth. Yeah. He says it's like, I'll never be happy unless I have that, like that wild animal experience of always just going out and getting a chicken and like experiencing just being the wild animal that he was before.
Doesn't he straight up says that he's being existential, right?
Yeah. He literally says it straight to Kylie.
Wes Anderson is so on the nose. Like, all of the imagery is in your face, and the dialogue is also so straightforward. And again, that really works in this movie. Asteroid City, it makes everybody's unlikable because they're all like that constantly.
I think as well to argue the Asteroid City, because when I watched it first I did like it, but now that time has passed, the same with everything. I'm like, if I watch it again I'll pick it apart. I think there's too much unsaid by characters where they just leave you with, like, I'm trying to they kind of leave you with the, you know what they're trying to say, don't say enough about it. That makes sense.
Everybody's interchangeable in that movie to me.
Yeah, like basically that. If I put Tom Hanks and Jason Schwartzman's place in that movie, it'd be the exact same movie. Like,
exactly. Everybody's almost doing a caricature of Jason Schwartzman to me.
Yeah, nobody stands out as their own.
Yeah, this movie is everybody is their own individual character. Even if some of them are like two-dimensional, they're still their own character. They're not. You can't just swap them around. So that's a positive for this movie, a pro for this.
Where was it? Oh yeah. So once we've had the little existential moment from Mr. Fox, he kind of snaps out of it really quickly, and then Kylie gets handed himself a balaclava and told that he needs to go. That we're doing a job together, which again, Kylie's just in the wrong place, the wrong time. Guy's zoning out. He's not the most intelligent person in this movie either, so I don't know how Mr. Fox thought he was going to be a great partner.
It's Mr.
for any
Fox
of what's happening.
Being an asshole again. This is like another tick on the asshole count, where he's like taking advantage of Kylie the possum, taking advantage of his dumbness. He's like, I can manipulate this guy to work for me because he's got nothing else going on in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get to our heist, we get another scene where the two young foxes, they have some kind of like some petty childish arguments, but they get to another scene. What was it now? I'm trying to figure out where it was.
they're in his bedroom, right?
And
The son has to share his bedroom with his cousin, and he's not happy about it. And his cousin's like, "Hey, can we make some room over here?" And the son's like being a petty asshole, like, "No, go stop being a whiny baby," you know? And you see there's posters in his bedroom off the superhero. Wearing like it's like a fox wearing a cape or something, and that's why he came out in his cape earlier, because he's like idolizing the superhero. You know? I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's cute.
And thanks to Callum's criterion, there's a book inside the comic that superhero is based off of. There's a volume of that in here that I actually read, and it's just kind of cool.
I love it when media does that, you know?
Yeah, it just goes above and beyond. But
Shout out to Sony, because they're killing physical media for all their movies. So you'll never have this experience with them ever again.
Are you a very physical media guy?
Yeah.
Are the pair of you very physical media guys?
I used to be. Now not so much. Like I literally, more so it's depressing. I ran out of space in my bedroom. My bedroom's quite small, so I literally have nowhere like to get. If I got any more physical media stuff, I'd like have nowhere to put it. I'd have to go in the wardrobe or in the attic.
I've got a collection of like kind of, I guess, rare now games, like all the original Silent Hill games and stuff. But movies, I was never able to afford them. So I'd always have to record what was on TV. And now everything's on streaming. So if they're not on a streaming service that I'm already, paying for, then I'll go the piracy route. But I know.
What?
We fix that in post. We'll cut that out in post.
Illegal activity.
I fucking bought Dune of YouTube, right? And it was supposed to be like the 4K version. And I've got 4K TV. I've got a gigabit internet. I can run this shit. And it was running in like fucking 480p. So
YouTube quality is bad.
It was so terrible. So I refunded it. I was on like the phone to Google tech support for hours. And then I was just like, I'm just going to pirate this thing. Like I tried to pay for it and it was so shit. Bastards.
You went the right route and it didn't work out. So
it's their own fault then. That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Basically, it's on them.
It was on them. It was on them. YouTube is how I want to watch everything. But they just don't do HD good for some reason. And they're always like, are you sure that you're able to run it? I'm like, yes, I've got a brand new TV. I've got the best internet in the UK.
I was like, I am a bit of a physical media collector. Like, it's my way of treating myself. If I'm like, oh, cool, what can I do? I like, everybody else has their thing. If I want to treat myself, I'm like, oh, what movie came out that I actually really enjoyed? I'll pick like a physical copy, because I just don't trust streaming sites enough to keep movies.
Yeah.
I think I love the idea of the power's going to go out and I've got all my physical games that I'm going to play. It's like a rainy day and I'm going to sit inside and play on my Xbox. So, like my old console games.
A whole cupboard that's under my TV. So my TV like sits on this thing and there's drawers and press. The entire thing is full of like dodgy movies from when I was growing up and we couldn't afford to buy them. So my dad used to go to this car boot sale. He'd buy pirated DVDs, which would always have some guy's fat head getting in the way of the camera. I remember
growing up, I lived in Tunisia and there was a lot of that, and the movie would be in like French, so I wouldn't understand it anyway.
No,
I watched Rush Hour in French so many times. Like I've probably watched that movie in French more than I've watched it in English. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember there was one really funny story. I think I told this recently to somebody, but I went to school one time. It was when I was in primary school, and we were having a movie day. The teacher was like, oh, everybody who wants to bring in a movie, please feel free to do so. So a bunch of people brought in like normal DVDs and such, and I came in with a pirated copy of B Movie.
Oh.
And the teacher went off on me. It's like, what are you doing with one of these? They're illegal. They're illegal.
Really?
Literally, like they were all coming, freaking the fuck out. She's like, what are you doing with this? You cannot have this. This is illegal. I was like, I don't know what's happening. My mum and dad just got me B Movie. I don't know what's going on.
I think like a teacher did get in trouble for showing like a Shrek movie like the week it came out because they found it like online, that was a thing. And I just remember that so vividly. I remember that happening in class as well, where like we'd have a day where we could all bring a movie in and then the teacher would pick like the most suitable movie for us.
Yeah.
And there'd be like chavvy kids bringing in porno. And I'm just like, where have you got this from? Why would you think this is cool? And the teacher just laugh at them. We're not playing that. And, like,
teacher just confiscated and
not
like
even in trouble or anything like that. Just there's chavvy kid. There you go. That's what he brings in.
Like, not to get another, well, we're probably going to, but not to get a big full tangent about this, but like, isn't it weird that when our age kind of figured out stuff like that, it was from such weird like videotapes, or a friend showed you a video in school or something like that. Now, they're like, kids nowadays are like fucking 6 and 7 and they know what sex is and they've seen stuff. And me at 6 and 7 was so in my own world with fucking like football cards and fucking video games. If somebody had me a video of like porn, I'd have died.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Not like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, today is so weird.
It's true. There's things are a lot more explicit. I remember growing up and my best mate was called Johnny, right? And people would like, hey, can I borrow a rubber, Johnny? And they just burst out laughing. And I didn't get that until like secondary school, but people were saying this in primary school. I had no idea, you know, like why that was funny. Can I borrow a rubber, Johnny? It took me years to figure that one out.
Well, Steve,
and he would always kind of giggle as well, but
experience.
I guess
what kind of experience are you asking him about? His first
not your first time doing awkwardly aware of what everything was.
My first thing about the like experience of the birds and the bees. There used to be these ads on Irish television, right? And it would be like 100. It'd be like you could buy these CDs, right? And it was all like 100, most classic 100 love tracks. And there would always be some sort of video going on with the ad, and it'd always be some sort of like man and woman like making out on a bed. and I remember, and these ads used to pop up. I'm not imagining it. I'm sure they used to pop up on Cartoon Network channels, like in between just like cartoons, or it was either on the Irish broadcasting channels, like, or it was on Cartoon Network, because they're the only channels we had. We had like RT1, RT2 and TV3 back then, and randomly Cartoon Network. So we had 4 channels on the television. And I used to be subjected to these advertisements of men and women just gyrating and like rubbing against each other on the bed while a love song played in the background. And I remember just like going to my mum and asking her about like what these people were doing while in between my cartoons. And she blamed one of my friends who used to come around with wrestling. He used to come around with wrestling like tapes, like VHS tapes. He'd record them the night before and we'd watch them together. He'd come around. So she blamed him for having this stuff on the tapes because she didn't believe that I was seeing them just on natural TV commercials. So he got banned from actually coming to my house. And I got banned for ever talking about it again. I was 8 years old and I just remember feeling... weird when I'd watch it.
That's so funny.
Music, the modern day equivalent is kids watching TikTok and watching twerking videos, I suppose. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
Those channels though, like Kerrang has just been shut down. I was told yesterday on stream. Like that's
crazy.
This movie, I know we're so digressing here, but it's making us talk very nostalgic.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, this movie has a very nostalgic feel to it. So it's taken us back to our childhoods, and that's really cool.
Right. Enough sex. Back to foxes.
How did we get to that?
I don't know. We just spiraled out. Okay, this happens.
I've lost my place in the note.
We are in the title card.
I had a friend. Well, I wasn't really a friend. I was just walking with him. We lived in the same direction that, you know, so after school we'd walk home together, and you know how like page 3 of the newspaper used to just be just big straight up like big nudies, right?
Yeah.
And it was pouring down, and he saw that flying down the street, being carried by the wind, was just page 3 of a newspaper. And he ran into the road and almost got ran over trying to get this. And he got it and he folded it up and he put it in his pocket. And it's like, that's for later. that was how he got his spot. That or he found it in a bush. Because we'd come across like just stacks of porn in bushes all the time. That was just a thing that would happen for some reason.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry. I just needed to get that story out. It was
So
where were we? The Foxes.
Mr. Fox has a plan. Title card has come up. So he's planning one last big job. He said it to Kylie that this is going to be one last job. He needs to get it done, and he's planning to hit the Bogus chicken house. There's a little like cliche kind of heist montage where it's like really quick. They're sneaking, they're crawling, they're jumping over things. Like it's really nice looking. It's really fast, and like what we mentioned earlier, the shots like this where the animation gets really like frantic and cartoony. So we get the same kind of moving from left to right. There's a little follow over their shoulder camera at some point here as well.
I love the shot where they're running forward and the camera is just following. It's almost like attached to their backs, you know, and it's following them. They never get further away from the camera at all. It's like a fixed camera the way it moves. So it's really, really fun.
And like any other heist movie, there's always a little setup scene beforehand. So the plan was that they need to bring blueberries laced with sleeping powder to sedate the farm's beagles because they believe that one of them has rabies. If any animal got bit by this dog, they have to spend the next 6 months getting shots to heal from it.
Beagles aren't so scary.
Kylie again, he's so nice. They need to make sure that they kill the chickens in one bite. Chickens are very paranoid animals and they'd make enough noise to alert the farmers, so they have to be got in one bite. It's very important. And of course, while all of this is being explained, we still get the exact same shot of Kylie where he's deadpan staring into the camera and his eyes have just gone blank. He's got two little like black circles in his eyes. He's just staring at us and he's not taking in a single thing. Poor I love Kylie so much. He's just completely like, he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be doing any of this. He's getting himself into too much fucking trouble. You know what I mean? Like his character is just so
I can tell you're getting excited because you're cutting out a lot, Bex. The shot to me where they're killing the chickens, you know, they're like snapping the chickens' necks. That was really surprising to me in a world where the animals are like humans, that they're still animals below them. BoJack Horseman did an amazing episode on that, because that's a world where, you know, the humans and animals, they're basically the same, but then chickens are still eaten, you know? A big recommend for all my fellow furry friends out there who love.
Do not go into BoJack Horseman if your head is not in a good space.
Don't
absolutely.
do it. I said big recommend. It's one of the best written TV shows I've ever seen. But yeah, you got to be in a positive space for it, because it's so dire and down that if you're watching that in a bad headspace, I think it could make you worse. Which
so I did, because I'm stupid.
No, it's rough. It's rough.
I watched it in the middle of COVID, like dead center of COVID, when everything was literally, the world was dying, and I like everything, and I was like, yeah, this is a great little animal, like morbidly depressing show ever.
It's rough.
But it is so good. It's written amazingly, and once you get past it's a horse talking about his life, it is so fucking good. It's so good. We get a little shot before we actually get in where there's the lab scene, the school lab scene with Ash, where he has a crush on this girl called Agnes. But unfortunately for our boy Ash, Agnes has instantly started to get a little bit of a crush on Christopherson, who is doing an amazing job in lab, and then his big stupid beaver lab partner puts something into it and just ruins the whole experiment that they were doing.
I love the dialogue here is great, where he's talking, the big stupid bully beaver is talking shit about Christopherson's cousin Ash, and he's just like, are you a bully?
Yeah.
You know,
You sound a lot like a bully.
The kids in Wes Anderson movies are often more mature than the adults. You know, that's another Wes Andersonism is where they'll have dialogue that's it's too adult for the reality of it. And I love when I don't know if Ash is like annoyed because because he fancies his lab partner and she fancies Christopherson. I think it's just more that again people are giving Christopherson attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's necessarily interested in her, but he's annoyed that she is interested in him instead of giving him the attention on their project. And he calls her like unfaithful or something like that.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
You're an unfaithful lab partner or something like that. Yeah.
Unfaithful.
There's a weird little special feature on you mentioned that the kids are like more mature than the adults. There's a weird special feature on the Criterion where there's two kids reviewing the movie, right?
Yeah.
And one of the kids is the classic, I don't want to be here. I just want to go do what I want to do. So why are we talking about this? And then there's another kid that is the like definition of this kid is an 80-year-old man trapped in a kid's body. He's sitting there sophisticated. He's talking. He's giving points. He's actually covering the movie pretty well, like on a deeper level than just, hey, there's a fox running around stealing stuff. And it was so weird to me. It was like it's in a lot of his movies where the kids are way more mature than any kid should probably be. And then there's this kid that's like,
he's more knowledgeable than me. He's found
literally.
This is the Wes Anderson character.
And he even looks like it. Like he genuinely...
Was it scripted?
Kid. I don't think so, because the other kid is so scattered and uninterested, and he's like, he basically stops talking at one point and just lets the other kid just ramble on, and it's so like, and even the way the kid's talking, it's like he stumbles, he says a couple of things that like don't make sense, and then he gets locked back in. It doesn't seem like it would have been scripted. It seems like they just sat a kid down that's probably a little bit smarter than his age would lead John to know.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of way. But then we get the big title card that says Master Plan Phase 1 Bogus Chicken House. We are sending in our two animals to get the chickens out of the hut, and in here we get a kind of important little tidbit. Kylie mentions that there's like wolves, and instantly Mr. Fox like freezes up and he goes, "Wait, wolves where?" And we kind of get the feeding that he's kind of scared-ified. Good brain. Thank you. He's terrified of wolves. And it's like a little small hint to something that's going to be massive towards the end. So they get there to the chicken camp, and there's an electric fence up, and they have no way to be able to get over it. So they decide that they're going to climb up a tree, shoot the blueberry in to sedate the dog. And the dog, honestly, if you told me the dog was dead, I'd believe you.
Why does Wes Anderson hate dogs?
Yeah. There you go. Like they eat the blueberry, and there's this weird, like, it looks like the best way to explain to somebody is the eyes in Rick and Morty, the way that it's not just a circle dot, it's got this weird like star effect to it. And usually in films and stuff,
it does look like the dog died, doesn't it?
Like usually they go with the X's for eyes, and instead they go for like a star. So again, if you told me the dog is dead, the dog is dead. Yeah. I'll believe it. They killed the dog, possibly.
They killed.
They did. Didn't he say that he put like enough trank in it to like take a bear down or something?
Yeah.
Or am I getting that from like another movie where they say?
No, I think they definitely, when they were putting it in, they definitely mentioned that it would kick a dog to sleep, like that kind of way.
Yeah.
What else have we got then? So we have like the scene we mentioned earlier where they're running in. There's the jolly music. They're getting over towards. What would we call
still on the first heist?
The first heist. We're just getting in. There's just like a couple little bits here to mention about it. What was the number of, what do you call the places where they're in? Was it a hut? Would you just say it was a hut?
Yeah.
Number 34. A chicken? Is it a chicken coop? I had it written, but I didn't know if that was an actual.
I think so. Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there's like 100. Like it looks like there's 100 chicken coops, and they go into number 34. And they get themselves some chickens.
Yeah.
But Kylie, when he's in there, can't break the chicken's neck. And he's broken the number one rule of having to kill the chickens in one bite.
Yeah.
So when they're coming out, They rush towards the electric fence again. All the alarms have been set off. The lights are on because the chickens freaked out and alerted everybody.
Yeah.
So the only way that they can escape, because they've no other option, is to do the very cartoony climb up the electric fence, and they're getting zapped. And you see the classic like Crash Bandicoot electric effect where the skeleton is there and the little black outline of them.
So good.
It's so funny. I love when stuff does that. Like, dude, you just see
I just realized
the skeleton.
Like about 5 minutes ago, my computer made a giant noise, right? And I'm thinking, oh well, I can fix that in post. But I just realized I won't be able to because it's on the same track as you guys. So just for you guys, that wasn't your computers getting wrecked.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry for your ears. That was my computer. I installed Dead Space a few days ago, and it's been telling me to like update my fucking something. I don't know.
Anybody that did get tricked by that, please tell us if you did in the comments.
Yeah. I hate it when I'm watching something and I can hear their computer going off, and I'm just
their Discord going off.
Yeah, I'm checking my
That's
Discord.
So good.
You know, so that and then I didn't speak about it because I was just like, well, Bex is on a roll here. I don't want to interrupt his flow, and I could probably just. I made a note of the time. I'm like, well, edit that out, but I'm just like, no, I can't. That's
it's fine. It's fine. It's only a little beepy. It'll be fine. This is
the most digressive episode we've ever done. I'm vibing for it. I hope you guys are. Remember to like the video and comment the video and leave 5-star review on Spotify. Do all that good stuff. Okay.
Give us all your opinions too, all of them.
Give us comments.
Yes.
Give us comments. It helps. It helps. Comments on the video.
Yeah.
So, like Seb kind of mentioned earlier, I don't want to really, like Seb mentioned it, where the chickens are a little bit like they're not really on the same human level as other animals, right? I don't really want to talk about that until the wolf scene later.
Okay.
Because there's a big conversation to be had there. But all I'll really say is the chickens and the wolves, I think, kind of run on the same system, if that makes sense, without like diving into it until the wolf scene. They kind of run off of the same rules and system.
Right.
I don't know if I agree with that, but we can talk about that later.
I think the wolf scene is going to be where I want us to have the biggest discussion, because I want to know what you guys think of it, because it could be taken in a lot of different ways, kind of. So then he's delighted. Mr. Fox is absolutely delighted that they've managed to gather themselves a couple of chickens. And obviously, once the going gets good, you got to keep going. So he says, right, I did promise you, Kylie, that this was a one-time job, but that one-time job meant we're hitting all the farms.
Yeah.
We're not just doing bogguses. We're going to be hitting buns and beans.
It's a 3-part job, you know?
Yeah.
It's one last job that's of 3 parts.
3 parts.
And yet again,
so I wrote here, the plan almost goes fully to plan. Okay, double plan.
Yeah.
And I wrote, I get the feeling that it's not going to be as easy the next time.
Yeah.
And then my next note after this is, okay, so number 2 was super easy.
It's
like number 2,
he's just really good at his job.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so they do another heist. Do you guys have anything else to say before we get to the second?
No, we have the big title card of Vince's Refrigerated Smokehouse, the master plan phase 2. I really like this one because it's shot entirely different, and it's really like, I love the way that it's done. So Bunce is in his security room. He's got his back turned to the cameras. There's 5 cameras, like 5 screens for different cameras right behind him. He's got his back turned, and the way that we see this heist coming out is camera 1 shows that Mr. Fox picks a lock and he breaks in. It cuts, then we see them all lined out. So they go into camera 2, where Fox and Kylie then scatter into the fridge. Camera 3, they kind of just pop up. You see them both wearing their balaclavas. It's a little bit like there's like icicles kind of stuck around their eyes, their mouths, the mask. Then camera 4, they run out with 2 full bags. But before that, there's a little string just hanging off the top of the TV screen, which is exactly the same as the beginning. You're like, there's no way he's going to get caught. But he doesn't. He pulls the string, and on camera 5, there was a dog sat there, and the cage just lands down on the dog. So they trapped the dog. They've got themselves out. They've got away with everything that was inside of the freezer. And like Seb said, it was probably the easiest heist in the whole movie. Got in, got out. The entire thing is done in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's also a really good. Like Wes was ahead of his time. This is Five Nights at Freddy's, you know.
We got FNAF in here.
I mean, Fox is a character in FNAF, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Is Fantastic Mr. Fox just a prequel? Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh. I mean, you tell us. You're the fursuit master over here.
I was going to
Bex.
say,
Fuck. Oh.
Actually, let's just say hypothetically, right? Let's just ask you.
Hypothetically.
Yeah, like, so there's no stake in this question at all, but we do
Right.
need an answer. Like, if you did have a persona, what would it be? Like,
Do I actually have to answer this question before we keep going? I feel like I'm going to be.
It's going to be silence and just you talking if you don't answer.
I
this
would
question.
dress up like Shadow the Hedgehog from Sonic. There we go, guys. I'd be Shadow the Hedgehog from Sonic.
You'd be a black and red hedgehog.
Yeah, no. But like, I have to look. No, right? Okay. Remember when Sonic the movie was getting made and it was ugly Sonic? I need to be an ugly version of the Hedgehog. That's what I want to be, right? So if anybody does art and you want to draw me as ugly,
Rare?
I actually implore it, please. Right?
Do you watch the movie that he's in? Is it Chippendale Rescue Rangers?
Chippendale. Yeah, I never watched it. I just seen the memes.
It's like quite good. It's fun. And they really redeem Ugly Sonic. I'm calling him Ugly Sonic because that's what they call him in the movie. But he has a whole redemption arc for being Ugly Sonic, and that's really nice.
Isn't Tim Robinson the voice of Sonic in that movie?
I don't know.
Tim Robinson? Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that up now because that's going to annoy me. Tim Robinson.
All right, Steve. Well, your persona.
Yeah, I want all of them now. Come on.
No.
You did it to me, so now you have to do it. Go on. What's your persona, Steve?
Like, I'm just. I guess I'm gonna. So nothing cool. I'm just gonna be like a phoenix.
Nothing cool.
Ask me.
The coolest fucking bird ever.
I have a few drawings. I might put in the video somewhere. I might share them on.
These are drawings he had from before.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't put much effort into it, but Phoenix would be like black and gold.
Some of the best artists I know are
so
furry
funny.
artists. Like they just do. I mean, a lot of them have learned doing furry porn because it pays very well.
Yeah.
Again, furries so creative. Love you.
Shout out to the person that makes like the majority of my emotes, Broomy. You are the VTuber furry dog person. I just wanted to shout out because I know you guys are going to be listening. Steve, good choice. Seb, you're not off the hook. Go.
Yeah,
I'm not off the hook.
No, what's your persona? Come on.
All right. Well, I've always kind of imagined myself as like, so I think the easy one is like Enzo and I share a lot of similar qualities. My dog, he's a cockapoo. He's got curly black hair and he's got like a brown beard and he just looks really cute. People will stop us in the street to say, "Hey, you're one of those people that looks like your dog." That happens. That happens all the time. So I guess a dog in that sense. But I've always really related to that turtle in Finding Nemo. That's like totally dude.
I can see you as him as well. Legit, I can see it.
And Sassy the Sasquatch, of course, from the Big Les show. What are you talking to me? Like, I'm a big fan of him. So those are my animalistic traits. So if you're doing any artwork, embody all of those. So maybe it's like a curly black-haired like Sasquatch, but with like wearing like a turtle shell. That'd be pretty cool, you know.
I can't believe I'm actually saying this. I can't believe this. I'm asking if anybody does art, please make us a banner for Twitter where it's the three of our personas with We Know Kino. I actually beg. It'd be so funny.
Yeah, that would be incredible. That'd be incredible. Bex is going to make these into his emotes as well. He's going to start having persona emotes too.
I'll get my fursuit made up and we'll go meet up.
We've been talking about maybe doing a meetup at some point, you know, so we'll all get our fursuits ready for that. That'd be really dope. We'll take lots of pictures. Follow us on Twitter so you can see those, our X.
Exactly.
You know.
Me and Beckham will be traveling to England. We'll have the Australian flags draped over our shoulders, dressed as our
surprise. Get koalas or something. What the hell?
Not again. We didn't do it last episode. I thought it was free.
No, never.
No, we didn't do a reference last episode.
I think last episode was the only episode it hadn't been said.
I think we maybe had one. I think we had
one. I was thinking about it. Even if I didn't say it, I was thinking about it. I'm always thinking about it.
Yeah.
Real question before we get back into the movie.
Rebecca,
Right.
wait.
Sorry, your podcast has been all right. Before we get back into the film,
Okay, all right.
Like, think
If you're wearing, wait, hold on. If you're wearing your tail,
yeah.
are you wearing it in the butt or in the suit? That's all I'm asking.
Oh, on the suit. maybe, yeah, on the suit out in public. Yeah.
have you ever been interested in what an ex is up to? Because I got
it's dangerous.
sent. It's very dangerous. You should don't do it. Never go looking at your past. Maybe that's a lot about me.
Yeah, wait, that was a bit deep.
Yeah. But no, I got sent like a link from I think it was maybe Krampus, and he was like, "Dude, have you seen what your ex is doing?" And I'm like, "Oh God, do I want to click this?" And she was selling. She'd got really into the furry stuff post our relationship, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
And she was selling the ones that do go into you, the tails that do go into you. And I was like, wow, that's
crazy.
That's quite something. Yeah,
that's a interesting career prospect, huh?
How many did you buy?
Oh yeah, I asked for that discount, that friend's discount, ex-boyfriend discount, please. Yeah. So and what I'm saying is, I've got a few for you guys when you guys get over here.
I'm excited to try them.
Hey, he's just yeah. Well, that makes me feel less weird about what I was going to say.
Callum's disowned me.
Yeah. Now that we've got that out of the way, yeah, I was thinking you could be like a kangaroo, and I'd be like the little koala in your pouch. I was thinking like we could run like a.
I just want to say no again. I love a lot of work that comes out of furrydom, and I love how wholesome a lot of the furry fandom is. And I just want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you for your contribution. Yeah,
whatever keeps you happy. At the end of the day, whatever makes everybody happy.
It's great. Have you ever seen those videos of like dogs at furry conventions, and they're just having the best time ever? Like they're so happy. They're like, oh my God, it's the best. Yeah.
Okay.
Where were we?
Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah, he's in this.
Mr. Wow has made his presence another one of Wes Anderson's buddies.
He often is he a co-writer on a lot of Wes Anderson's things? I'm pretty sure
he is. And I can't remember. There's the other Wilson brother. His name is completely out of my head right now. They were all really friendly growing up, and that's where Bottle Rocket first made the first movie. They were really, and I think for the majority of the movies, they're included in some ways, either like producers or whatever as well.
I think Wilson, whereas like most of Wes Anderson's characters are like very almost restricted in the way they talk and behave, and they're very stilted, and it's these Wes Anderson-isms, you know?
Yeah.
Owen Wilson, in the films I've seen of him in Wes Anderson films, he doesn't seem to have that restriction. Maybe it's because Wes like trusts him because they've grown up together, or maybe because he's like, you know, working on the writing as well. But I don't care for him too often in movies in general, but in Wes Anderson movies, he really stands out as like fun energy that I feel like his movies kind of need.
Yeah.
Because and he stands apart from the rest of the cast in all of these films, and even when like maybe it's to hide how he really has suicidal tendencies or something like that, but like Owen Wilson gets to share a lot more emotion than a lot of other characters and cast in these films, which sucks to me that he has such a small role in this, but I'm glad that he's in it because he's very
I'm glad
funny.
he's in it. Like his scene is
he a polar bear or something? What is he?
I think he is. He's
why would the polar bear be there? All the animals are like animals you would find here.
Yeah,
but why is he a polar bear? Bex.
I am scrolling this paragraph I've written to see what it is. He could be, because his name is literally just Coach Skip. I have no idea what actual animal he is. So he could be.
I just Googled Coach Skip, and he's a white bear.
Okay.
Just a white bear.
Fair? Yeah, and he doesn't... What animal? People often ask, what animal is Coach Skip in Fantastic Mr. Fox? He is an albino river albino, sorry, river otter. Okay.
He's an albino river otter. He looks very big for an otter then.
Yeah, that, like,
well, you know what? That whole not genre of animal. What is like a
breed?
That family of animal, they're often bigger in this film. But when we get to the rat later, like the rat is fucking huge.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. That's a good point. So yeah, we've met now Owen Wilson. He's a whack bat coach. Which I have to give props to Wes Anderson here for creating a new sport, but it's fucking ridiculous. I can't understand a single thing of what's being instructed, and they just all start flapping about. There's something about dividing numbers in. Well,
I'm not a sports guy, so this just looks like any other sport to me.
Yeah, it's honestly baseball, but it's ridiculous.
You know when people are like not fans of football and they call it, you know, the kickball or whatever. Like that's what whack bat sounds like to me. Like somebody doing that for baseball or something. You know, it's the whack bat because you whack with your bat. You know.
Yep.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, when I was looking into it yesterday, right? So I thought this was just nonsensical. First time I seen it, thought it was nonsense. I went on to Reddit, which is a dangerous place, and most people were actually explaining that if you really sat and thought about it, the sport could definitely work. And they were going, like, there was a big conversation in there where they were explaining what the rules were and it would actually work this way and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, why? Like, it's so confusing. There's so much going on. But kind of like what you said, in their world, I suppose that's a sport that would be like football for us. It makes sense to them.
Yeah.
That's what they play. That's their sport. It has been for years. And it's even said that like Mr.Fox, when he went to school, was playing the sport. So, you know, that's their sport. That's just the animal world sport. That's their football.
So the son, or is it Ash? He wants to be an athlete. He wants to prove to everybody that he is an athlete because he wants to be like his dad.
Yeah.
Again, he's just not that great.
No.
Right now. And Christopherson is just a natural. And Owen Wilson's character has this great line where it's like, wow, he really is like your father's nephew, isn't he? And
Ash kind of replies, it's like, we're only related, but not, it's on my mother's side or something, not true blood. Yeah.
So good.
From there, then we get our master phase 3, Bean's Secret Cider Cellar. That rolls off the tongue really well. And I'm surprised I didn't stutter that. Bean's Secret Cider Cellar.
Very good. Yeah. So
good.
Plan 3 is
the best.
My notes here is fuck off, son. Okay, nephew, come do the plan.
Yeah. So they have the lay out the phase, and then he tells his wife
that he's dropping, and he's like, "What are we doing? What are we doing?" You know,
exactly, because Mr. Fox tells his wife that he's going to, is it a book reading club?
Yeah.
So I forgot. Yeah. So another asshole tick for Mr. Fox. He lies to his wife. You know?
It's like the Stephen asshole counter from last week. It's now the Mr. Foxy. Yeah,
exactly. Each week we'll have an asshole counter.
Exactly.
That'll be great for the algorithm. It'll love the asshole counter.
The asshole counter.
The bum count. The bum hole counter.
So yeah, as we said, there Ash was supposedly eavesdropping. He was following them in through the field. No, you're not coming.
You cut it out, Ben.
And too small.
We're losing you.
Sorry.
Losing you.
It's said by Mr. Fox that Ash is too small and he's uncoordinated, so he can't come. So then Christopherson decides that he's going to rock up, and Mr. Fox is absolutely delighted to see. Yes, you listen to the plan. You've come. So that's again more terrible parenting from Mr. Fox. He could have just included Ash. He could have brought him on with him.
He shouldn't have included either of them because he's endangering a kid. Bumhole counter.
They get into this place very, very easily. They just kind of fall straight in. There's no sneaking about. There's no like alarm set in.
Yeah,
and
that's because
they fall right in.
They have a security guard. This is the
old, Do we see him later in his little uniform as well? No, there's a human version as well, right? Or am I making this up? No, there is a human version, but it's in a different place. Sorry, I got myself mixed up on my scenes. But there's a human version that wears the exact same uniform as our drippy little rat, who's down here protecting all the cider, voiced by the amazing Willem Dafoe, who we definitely mentioned movies earlier. You know, Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Probably one of the coolest superheroes.
Okay. Just who is the best villain? Who's the best Spider-Man villain? Just growing up, I always loved Doc Ock. You know.
Are we talking about the live action movies or just in general? Spider-Man
we're
villain?
talking in general
let's
movies.
talk live action because the comics have so many incredible villains.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamie Foxx's character.
Go to hell.
You like Electro? Electro. I love Electro apart from in that movie.
No, I knew that would just get a reaction. That's why.
I think Doc Ock is where you get peak, but I think if you're going with who's the best villain, I think it's Green Goblin. I think Willem Dafoe's performance as Green Goblin is just fucking amazing.
You're not a big fan of Corn of the Goblin from the comics?
No.
Okay.
No. If we got into comics, though, I know there is live action movies, and I want to just shout it out. Is Venom? I love Venom very much. The movies don't stink. Character Venom's fucking amazing.
Oh, you're so excited for Venom to take over that horse in Venom 3, aren't you?
I'm super excited, and they better bring back DJ Venom from the second part, right?
Please,
right,
please.
Guys.
I want Carnage
man
as well. I want.
What do you mean Carnage? We won't get into it. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Sony, let go of the Marvel IP, please.
Please give it back.
Please. Just let it go. It's not worth it anymore.
People. Give it back to us. Let us make the next.
Sandman's great as well.
Sandman is very good. He's done very, very well in the movie.
Yeah.
But yes, our rat, he's not going to let these animals come in and steal the cider. He's not going to let it happen.
Yeah.
And there's a very catchy, kind of like fast-paced Western style kind of song playing in the background that Seb was humming to himself a little earlier. Mm-hmm. And then there's a big fight. He pulls out the fucking switchblade and everything. He's giving everything to Coldest, and he's so cool.
So cool, yeah.
He's got this. It's a red and white striped shirt. His tail is super long. There's a little twirl in the end of his tail. It's so cool looking. He's such a cool fucking character design, and he's actually kind of scary looking too.
Yeah.
He's the scariest looking character in the whole thing, I think.
Yeah,
like he's scarier than the humans.
Yeah.
Right before we get fighting, he calls Miss Fox the town tart.
What a wild line! Yeah, the whole
for a kids movie.
Yeah.
Mad.
He's calling her. He was like, "Yo, before she got with you, she was getting with everybody."
Yeah,
it's actually mad.
Yeah.
Yes, right as they're about to fight, we have another human introduced to us who opens up the cellar door, which is
Mr.
Bean's wife.
Yeah,
she's terrifying looking as well.
Yeah,
she genuinely is fucking creepy as hell looking. And right as the door opens up, Christopherson, in all of his perfection, sees that there's a little sheet underneath the rat's foot. So he pulls it, and the rat goes flying unbelievably across the room and falls into a box of apples. And the box closes in on him, and he's now trapped inside. Now we get my favorite shot of the entire movie. Bean's wife is coming down to get what I think is like 3 bottles of cider, but she decides she only wants 2, and the camera cuts to the shot of Fantastic Mr. Fox staring into the camera. He's grinning, his eyes are wide open, there's some weird crazy music going, and it just stares right at him. It's so funny and so creepy.
You've posted this picture in the Discord. It's like it's been staring at me this whole time we've been talking.
I had to close down our Discord page just so I didn't have to keep looking at it.
It's so fucking
and his
funny.
teeth are like gritted.
Yeah,
he's being very still.
Yeah, he just.
It's so funny.
It looks like one of those when you kill an animal and you get it stuffed, like a trophy.
A taxidermy.
Taxidermy. It looks like that. Yeah, it's rented. I'm closing back down to Discord now.
In fact, because it's insider, I think maybe that's what it's supposed to look like, because you've got all these taxidermy. They're always in like formaldehyde and shit. It's real gross. One of my jobs at the museum once was counting. I had 2 black bin bags, and they were full of dead birds. And I'm vegetarian, by the way, so this maybe wasn't the most pleasant thing. But I had to count the dead birds, and then also see the ones that looked in good enough condition to send to the taxidermist.
That's gross.
To get them like taxidermied. That was it was a very interesting job working at the museum. Some of it was really, really cool. Yeah, some of it was really drool, but that was a really interesting thing to do. And who else can say that they've done that?
Nope, I can't.
I definitely can't. No. I was going to say, ever since I watched the movie 2 years ago, I think it's at nearly monthly basis, me and Callum send each other the freeze frame of Mr. Fox's face.
Is that going to be the thumbnail for this video?
I want it to be. If I can make something around that, I
make it good. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, fucking funny. I love it. It's just amazing. But
it's very much like your rabid emote.
It is. And no joke, before I met you guys, Fantastic Mr. Fox, even without seeing the movie, that used to be one of my first emotes, and I deleted it. Oh. So there's a little tidbit for anybody from stream. Oh, if you were around that long, Fantastic Mr. Fox used to be your rabbit. If you're just finding us on YouTube, we all stream on Twitch. Go check us out. The links are in the descriptions and on the page on the YouTube channel and in the Spotify description. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. Whole bunch of plug.
Yes.
But yes,
plugs. Tail plugs.
No.
We'll do our plugs at the end of the show.
Wait, we're gonna do our plugs like that at the end of the
at the end of the show. Yeah.
We're plugging like that.
Yeah. We'll all plug each other.
I didn't have anything planned.
Continue. Back on track.
Right. Okay.
What was the horny episode? It wasn't last episode. It was two.
It was the Omen. It was the Omen.
Oh, okay.
Steve and his no nut clarity was really coming through.
Clarity.
Actually,
we're learning about each other this episode.
Actually, it was post nut clarity.
Oh, sorry, Steve. Sorry.
Right, okay.
Got it confused.
We're not gooning. I learned what gooning means now.
Oh man,
I didn't know.
Part 2.
Yeah,
gooning 2 girls at the same time. Steve, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I deserve this. Listen, I deserve this. I did it 2 weeks ago. I deserve this.
Doom Part 2. Fucking fantastic movie, by the way. Just
you just watched it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I would have seen it sooner, only we really wanted to wait to get the 4K disc, so we had it good. My God. Favorite movie of the year so far. It's fucking phenomenal.
Not Dashcam. Okay, continue.
Right, okay. Miss Bean takes one of the cider bottles and Fantastic Fox, Mr. Fox, he's like wrapped himself up to be the exact same shape so that get noticed, and we're kind of like, why the fuck did she not see him? And then it gets explained that without her glasses, she's got the condition in her eye, she's not able to see, so she's
like
basically
cataracts
blind
or something, you know.
Yeah, I think is it Christopherson is the one that says that. Mm-hmm. Which I'm a bit confused about. How would he know that?
How he notices it?
Because he knows everything. Because he's just so good at everything.
Yeah.
But again, it's understated. He's not making a point to prove anything to anybody. He just makes the point.
Giving them the information.
Yeah.
I think that part in the cellar is probably my favorite part of the whole movie. I just like the music, rap,
everything about it,
the face
set up. Yeah.
Again, very, very Chicken Run again there with that lady looks very Chicken Runny when she's coming down the stairs there.
Mm-hmm. Have either of you watched the Chicken Run sequel?
No.
Yeah.
Was it bad?
It's not great. It's not very. I don't think it's very good, honestly.
That's kind of
I'm a huge Chicken Run fan. The Chicken Run video game was one of my favorite games growing up. Have you guys ever played it?
Not that I can remember.
It's Metal Gear Solid, but with chickens.
That sounds like one of the greatest games ever.
Why would you make a Metal Gear Solid clone, but for chickens? It makes no sense. But it works so well. It's an incredible. Well, at least I remember it being an incredibly well-made game, and I spent so much of my childhood playing that game. So big in fact, would you I think I would rather watch Chicken Run than this movie.
I think nostalgia gives me the love for Chicken Run over this, but I think this is a better movie. If that makes sense. I don't know. Chicken Run is just childhood, you know what I mean? Like it's a very good movie.
The sequel, I don't think the sequel's that great.
I avoided it because I was just like,
it's got some cool messaging, but I don't think it's that dope.
7-year-old me was like,
I'd rather watch an episode of like Shaun the Sheep or something.
Mm-hmm. Or just watch Wallace and Gromit, which forever will land.
There's a new one coming out.
And my favorite character of all time in animation is coming back, Feathers McGraw, the most devious villain to ever exist.
Feathers McGraw slaps. He's so dope.
He's fucking great. I love it.
I walk the dog every day past like there's this one house and it's got like a little like clay statue of Feathers McGraw just giving the middle finger. Like just in the window. Like, and I'm like, I know exactly what kind of household that is. That's fun.
That's so good.
Why would you have that? I don't know, but it's facing outwards to people. It's not facing into the house. It's like everybody who walks past sees that.
Right, we're back. Movie again. All of our characters have escaped this cellar with a bunch of the cider that was inside, and we get another title card, an emergency meeting. So the tree farmers are meeting to talk for the first time. We actually hear them talking. They've not talked at all in the movie before this. And Michael Gambon, again, shouting him out because he is, as a voice actor as well, his voice is very...
He's got a good voice.
He's like very clearly the leader out of the tree as well, because the other two are like the kind of like two stooge farmers that he's
basically the antagonist of this film.
Yeah. And then the way that this is shot is Bean's character is like sitting in the dark on a chair while the other two are under like a porch, and he just simply says to the two guys, he's like, "Annie," and the others confirm they're just like,
"Next, you cut out."
Oh, sorry.
What did he say?
Where was I?
What did he say? What did he say?
He said it that Annie Fox probably just says to the two guys, like, Annie Fox probably.
He said what?
Am I cutting out again? Right, hold on. If somebody can hold it for a second, I'm jumping in and out.
I can hold what for a second?
Just hold that scene. If you can just talk about the scene, I'll just jump in and out of the call.
This scene. Yeah. You've got the farmers. They're making the plan to kill the fox, and it's not because like they need to. Like the foxes actually haven't stolen too much.
No, exactly. But
it's more about pride.
The pride, the inconvenience of the matter. Yeah.
They're just annoyed that this fox got one over on them, and they want payback. Again, they're completely fine. They're not going out of business or anything like that. But they're just like, fuck this guy. We're gonna fuck him up. You know,
like all three of them have been stolen from now.
Yeah, it's petty. It's petty shit.
It is. But it's a simple like narrative, and I love just the way that scene is set up. That you can tell immediately then that Beans is kind of like the head honcho of the three. They're brothers, right?
Are they brothers?
Are they brothers? I don't know. Okay, they're just in.
I don't think they're related.
Okay, never mind. But like the way that Beans, he sat there, and the way it's just it's set up that he's the kind of like almost like the Godfather, if you will. He's the head honcho of the three of them in their little group.
The character model for Bean was based off of Roald Dahl as well.
Oh, yeah. I could see
Wes Anderson says it at some point that they took a lot of references on how he looked and made it into the character, but obviously made it a more eviler, skinnier, scarier looking version of him. But it was very heavily based off of
Roald Dahl. I'm looking at a picture of Roald Dahl right now. Absolutely, it looks just like that. Yeah.
There's also a cool scene there where Bean comes out with the pistol on his lap and he just aimbots all the lights that are on the place.
Like John Wick it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like he just whips around and every light that's around them, he just bang, bang, bang. If I was the two farmers, man, I'm going home. I'm not dealing with this. He's gone insane.
This guy is dangerous. Yeah, he's blasting.
And it's right after this scene then that we get Miss Fox confronting our bandits as they make it home.
I love this scene.
They're kind of like, do you want to take it, Steve? You know what, Steve? Go with it. Take it.
No, it's a one part. It's just there's one part where it's the typical Wes Anderson like it's just like there's a snapshot like snappy, really like funny dialogue. It's the one time in the movie that I really just started like I burst out laughing because I just loved the nonchalance of Mr. Fox again. Like they sneak in, all three of them are the two of them are there, and Foxy and his what's his friend's name? Kylie, yeah, and like she confronts him and like book reading, how was it? And he's like, he tries to play it off like, it went well, everything went fine, and then she just says, well, do you want to explain that or something? Like I'm paraphrasing again because I didn't take the exact note of what she says, but it cuts to the just door, and Christopherson is walking in after them, and he's still got the balaclava
on,
and just this whole like he just spits out so many like excuses here. He goes, Foxy, his explanation is his ears were cold. He's not with us. Go back to bed.
Yeah.
And the way it's just delivered made me just laugh. Like I burst out laughing because it was just so well done. It was so clever, and it was just it's like it sums up his whole character in a nutshell. Mr. Fox, like he's always got like
he's always thinking on his feet. You know,
he's good at thinking on his feet. He's good at improvising, sort of thing. You know.
Yeah.
But I just love that scene. The way it was framed, just for the narrative purpose and just for like the witty dialogue, was all really good.
Right after that, we get another title card saying the shooting. So our three farmers are now sat in a bush right outside the treehouse where the Fox family lives.
They managed to track him back, yeah.
And Mr. Fox steps out and catches the scent of all of the farmers from the like the stuff that they have, the chicken, the cider, the is it a turkey as well? Turkey.
Yeah.
So as that happens, all the farmers just open fire on both Mr. Fox and poor innocent Kylie, who was out here coming out for a walk as well. He just starts getting shot.
Is this in front of the tree?
Yeah, he's literally stepped out of his
house now. Yeah, the farmers have taken the war to. Well, they've started the war. They've taken it to the doorstep. Yeah.
And luckily for both Kylie and Mr. Fox, they managed to get back inside the house. But Mr. Fox has lost his tail.
Yeah,
he's had his tail shot right off of him.
But his tail won't grow back like a lizard's.
No,
that's a comment in there. Dialogue.
Yeah. While all this anarchy is happening and Mr. Fox is getting himself sewn up, Ash kind of cracks a tasteless joke about how his dad is lucky that he only lost his tail and that Christopherson's dad has now got double pneumonia and has 1 foot in the grave already.
Jeez.
And that obviously pisses off Christopherson, and Miss Fox instantly is like, you have like 30 minutes to get a good apology made up and go do it.
Yeah.
That's such a motherly thing to say.
My mum did that the whole time. Like
100%.
Yeah. I wish I got 30 minutes to think of a good conversation back then. Or a good apology. I was like 30 seconds. Apologize right now.
Mine would be sent up into the room, and if I didn't come down and apologize, nobody would talk to me. It'd be like, you need to come up with a good apology or you're not coming down to talk to us. And I was like, okay, great.
Is this a metaphor for the farmers taking Mr. Fox's masculinity here?
Yeah, I feel like it is, because he takes a lot of
it's like it's like a pride, you know.
Yeah. Like, and he's very obsessed about getting that tail back. It's like he needs it to be,
because he doesn't feel like he wants to be his youthful masculine self. It's a tale about toxic masculinity, really, and where that leads, because you kind of will get more into it as the story progresses, but he fucks everything up.
Yeah,
like he is the driving force for the story and everybody getting wrecked.
Even the very next conversation like hammers exactly what you're saying home. It's when the two of them are in bed and Mr. Fox is like tossing and he's turning. He's complaining about not being able to sleep on his back now that he hasn't got his tail. But then if he sleeps on his stomach, he starts to feel like he's going to get sick.
Yeah.
And that, like, he's not going to even be able to sell the tree now for half of its worth. And right there, Miss Fox just tells him is because he doesn't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
Everything Mr. Fox does has to be by his rules. He's so confident that everything he does is going to work. And just her with one line shuts him as a character down entirely just by going, you just don't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
You do what you want. You're a bad person and or animal, whatever you're going to call him, but I'm going to say person. You're a bad person in this situation, and the danger that is now quite literally knocking on the family's door is entirely his fault. There's nobody but him to blame, but all he's worried about is his tail, the house. Like he's not worried about the actual serious problem that a bunch of farmers are just after shooting right outside his house. You know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
So like it's basically like what you just said. There's just Mr. Fox is so all about being the man.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't realize that he's after putting everybody, his family and Kylie included in his family, in a whole world of danger now.
Yeah. A literal hole.
Yeah, literal.
Damn.
Yeah. Can we just take a pause there? I want to make sure the recording's all good. We've hit like 2 hours.
No worries.
And we're back. Before when we started the recording, one of you guys was like, "All right, Seb, take it away, intro." I didn't even say the name of the podcast. We Know Kino, guys.
We're not really good at doing this, Harry.
I know that.
Just like at the beginning, yeah.
I didn't even notice that we didn't say it.
Before we start these, in my head, I'm always I'll say it out loud to myself, like a bunch of intros, and try and script it out through my head.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it just never comes out because we're always so in the moment and unscripted. So yeah. We Know Kino. We'll do our plugs at the end, as I always say. Where were we? He just got his dick shut off. His tail shut off.
Have had the argument in the room, and now there's noise happening above our arguing foxes. And there's like a really funny, dark, dry humor here that always gets a little chuckle out of me is they're freaking out, and Mrs. Fox says, "They'll kill the children," and Mr. Fox replies, "Over my dead body they will." And in such a dry, funny response, she just says, "That's what I'm saying, you'd be dead too in that scenario." And it's just so funny the way it's done.
It's wonderful.
It's so good.
And again, that's dialogue that will for children watching this movie, a lot of this dialogue will just go over their heads. So that's why like the movie's like it's quite good in that way that it can be enjoyed for the visuals and like the comedy and like the funny aspects. All like the children can just like
the best kids movies need some lines in there for the parents.
Yep, exactly.
But this movie really feels more like for the parents to trick their kids into watching more of an intellectual movie, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah. So we now learn that the noise that is happening above us is actually the farmers beginning to dig the hill that the tree is on. So the only solution that the animals have now is to dig themselves further down. There's a weird ass digging animation. They're all digging, even though the people in the back, even though the person in the front has already dug the hole.
Do they decide to do this? Is this where we see the flashback of what happened when they get caught at the beginning? Like how they get out of that situation when they're in the fox trap at the beginning?
Is it at this moment or is it later?
No, this is just them digging into the under area just to get away. There's no like flash to what was happening before. It's just this is what they did to just get away from the farmers coming in on top of them.
Okay, so they're no longer in the tree. They're now in the ground. They're back in a hole in the ground. There's once they've now got themselves a little base area as far down. There's a really nice looking scene where the two fox parents walk into like a little area where there's a bunch of mineral stones that look really, really nice on the wall. I was going to say, I thought the story there was they'd found diamonds.
Yeah.
And that was going to be a thing, right? Because it looks like these big shiny rocks, or the farmers will find them and then leave them alone, or they'll pay them off or something like that. But it literally never comes into play.
No.
It's just in the background and that's it. They never mention it.
It's pretty.
It's just a very nice looking scene.
Yeah.
It's very good, but unfortunately for us as viewers and the characters in it, the conversation doesn't really match the scenery in the background because Felicity instantly smacks Mr. Fox into the face and grazes him on his cheek before saying, "It's like you promised to me you'd never steal again." And you're like, "I'm hurt that you've lied to me now." And he very shittily, but also on tone for his character, just replies, "Because I'm a wild animal." Yeah. Like he just uses that as his excuse for getting away with everything. And like clearly his wife is becoming upset. He's still being stubborn.
Yeah.
And he says like that no matter what, at the end of the day, or she says it, sorry, she says to him at the end of the day, it won't matter because unless you change, we're all dead. He's after getting him into this situation. And right now, with the way it's looking, the farmers are going to be digging down once they find the entire family there and Kylie, who's still with them, that they're all going to end up dead because of, again, Mr. Fox's decision to be that wild animal. I kind of think now that Seb's mentioned it with the masculinity and stuff, this is very heavy on it when it's him saying that he needs to be that wild animal, which is like the same as people in fucking the real world, or like men have to be men, they can't be soft.
It's hard to change the way you're hard coded. And there's a really good I loved the message behind that. He's responsible for nearly everything in this movie, because of for his own desire to like have more. They lived in the hole. He wanted to upgrade to the tree, and then because of his actions with the raiding the farms, he has now returned his family back down into the hole where they were from. Like so, like they've gone like full circle due to all of his influence. They've gone from like they've upgraded and then they've just returned back to their roots, and it's all because
only going to
of him.
get worse as well because the farmers keep up in the ante and keep pushing them further and further down. So they're not even
insane.
like back to zero. They're minus one.
Now.
They're Godzilla minus one, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Godzilla minus one.
Yeah.
Great movie again. Another great movie.
Yeah, fantastic movie.
So after that conversation, the farmers have kind of come to realize that digging shovels into the ground isn't going to get them the result they want quick enough. So they call in some heavy machinery, and the lads that are delivering these are absolute nutcases. They're zooming, they're screaming. It's like, I don't know what the shot was. It's like the tree. Like, is it tractors, I think there, or is it a digger or whatever? It's heavy machinery anyway. And they're just zooming and the lads are screaming their head off. But now the farmers have got the machinery to make sure that they dig this hill out as quick as possible to get to the Fox family rapidly. And then we get another title card that comes up with the terrible tractors. Mm-hmm. So as we've mentioned, the Fox family have started to dig themselves further and further and further, so that they can manage to keep themselves away from the farmers that are ahead of them. But we have another moment from Mr. Fox not knowing how to talk to Ash. Like, as they're digging their way down, he's trying to talk to Ash, who's obviously annoyed with him. And Ash just sticks mud into his ears, and he's just like, I'm ignoring you, I'm not listening to you. And he doesn't really try and make an effort to even get the conversation out of him. It's just another one of Mr. Fox's like, oh, it's not really my fault this is happening. You know, this is just going on. You're on my side after having the argument already with like Felicity Fox.
Yeah.
It's just the entire movie until one point just feeds you a terrible, terrible character when it comes to parenting from Mr. Fox. And then the one point that'll come up will be like, oh, this is why, but it doesn't really excuse a lot of it either. He's still just crap. Like, again, most parents, I'd imagine, would always say, and you'll probably heard the quote as well, as I wanted a better life for you than what we had for ourselves. So you'd think he'd be thinking the same thing, like he'd actually show Ash the same kind of level of love as he does show to Christopherson.
Character. Yeah.
He's blindly selfish as well. You know, he can't see that he's the issue here. It's like there's just something there in his psyche that's
his ego won't allow him to. It's toxic masculinity.
Exactly.
It
won't allow him to just like see the damage that he's causing. He always wants to think that he's the solution, not the problem.
We do follow this up with kind of like a little heartbreaking shot where the hill that we opened the movie on, where the tree is there in his house, or it's actually the one where they're living. Sorry, not the one we opened it on. The hill where the house is, where they'd be living, the big beautiful tree, has now been dug so much that the mud of the hill has been lifted off to a side. The tree is just clinging on, and the entire area where they had been living, where the dream house for Mr. Fox has completely been decimated by the farmers and all of their heavy machinery now.
Reminds me of the background of like in the 2D Worms games.
Yeah. It does,
blow it up and there's a big chunk missing out of it.
Yeah.
Fantastic Mr. Fox DLC for the next Worms game,
there
please. And then while all of this is happening, again, his house is being destroyed. His family are very upset with him. And the only thing that Mr. Fox seems to actually give a shit about is the fact that he thinks one of the farmers is going to be wearing his tail as a necktie, which we instantly cut to a very ugly child model looking at a TV where his dad is actually wearing Mr. Fox's tail as a tie. So again, it's him. He shouldn't be caring about something so fucking small given his situation. But then the pettiness of the farmers as well, where he's actually taking it to that level where he's like, fuck this fox, I'm going to wear his fucking tail as a tie.
Well, you were starting your mic out earlier, Steve and I were talking about how the farmers, they didn't like... The foxes barely really stole anything from them. Like, it didn't really impact them, but it's the farmers just wanting revenge and being petty about it that drives them. Is their egos are driving them, that they can't have this fox get one over on them too.
In the grand scale of things, we've seen, like right here and now, we've seen the animals leave with 3 chickens, a couple of turkeys, and a couple of bottles of cider. They're like, their food cabinet is full, but in their terms, their food cabinet is full because that's like, that's their feeding for like a month. Where when you think about it in the farmer scale, it's like you lost 3 chickens, 3 turkeys, and 3 ciders. Like, what fucking difference does that make to you guys? So you guys are 100% right with that. It's just the whole pettiness from both sides, especially the farmers, to like take it out on the fucking fox for just stealing
this level,
minimal levels
as well. Yeah. I think I need to read the book, but I think in the book it's more like they need to do that. The animals need to steal to survive. Whereas you never get that in this because it's Mr. Fox who it's a want, it's not a need.
No, because in this it's more, again, they mention it with I don't want to be poor. They're just poor, but they're able to live. Like, he's able to buy the house. He's able to obviously afford the tree house. Yeah. So they have enough means to make it, but it's more of him being greedy and wanting that extra
not
level
being
more.
happy with what he has. You know? And we always want something better than what we've got, no matter like.
Yeah, exactly. We always want more.
That's hard to let go of.
We get an absolute insane way of burying out a fucking hole. They set explosives into the hole, run off, and basically fucking they're only short of nuking the actual area where the animals have been living. It's insane. And then Bean calls on every single person that has been working for all 3 of the farmers, any person, adult that works for all of them, to gather at this hole to try and help them to get deeper in to find the animals.
Real overkill.
It's insane. It's like I when they exploded, and then he's just like, right, this isn't enough. We need everybody. How many men have you got? How many men have you got? It's complete like desperation again over 3 fucking chickens, 3 turkeys, and 3 bottles of cider. Like, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And we get to another title card that says the siege begins, and there's like a news reporter that says there's an estimated 108 snipers are set up around the hole. It's just so funny. There's just loads of people just lying around up in towers just watching this animal hole with snipers. It's so funny. And like it's again, like we keep saying, it's so funny that like imagine if this was real, a fox starts stealing stuff and they set up an entire town to come hunt down a fox. It's jokes.
Remember the movie Mousetrap?
Yes. One of my favorite comedians ever is in that, isn't it? Lee Evans.
Lee Evans, sweaty Evans.
Yeah, I love him. I love him so much. I miss him. His stand-ups used to be like, when I was babysitting people growing up, I'd sit there and I'd be like, we're watching a Lee Evans stand-up on Comedy Central right now. Sit down and watch.
Kids to watch so stand-up.
Good. I did. Like, I remember my mum's best friend growing up, she had a son my age, and then there was a bunch of younger ones, but the son my age was a little bit more of a scummier person, so he was always out drinking and smoking and whatever. And I would end up babysitting his like brothers and sisters, and I remember one day vividly, I was like, there's a new Lee Evans stand-up coming out right now and we're watching it. Like, we're sitting here, and they were like 6 and 7 sitting there watching Lee Evans.
Watching a man just perspirate all over the stage. It's like
he was the very sway guy, right?
He was. Yeah.
Did he have the big ears? Am I retired?
Yeah, that's him.
Is he retired now?
Yeah, he's retired a couple of years, which is sad because like I did love him. He was very, very funny. Yeah. We get the best use of the word cuss in here because Mr. Fox says this is all a cluster cuss. And I really like the way he just says it. And then we get another card which says 3 days later, but for any of you furry imposed, it is 2.5 Fox weeks. There you go.
Furry imposed.
Interesting.
I'm trying to keep
service.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, hey,
we appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Whatever you do that keeps you happy. The family are starting to get worried now that they can't really last as long as they'd want to down there without any food and water. And a hole breaks into the wall that they've been hiding into, and they're starting to get panicked. They think maybe somebody's got through, and it's just some of the other animals from the area that are very mad at Mr. Fox because all of their lives have now been uprooted because of the farmers digging out their area. And while we're in here, we have a bunch of arguing between like the adults, but there's a little moment where Christopherson, after everything, kind of stands up for Ash against the bully beaver. the beaver that we met in the school.
yeah.
He's been a bit mean, and was it?
He whoops him. Yeah, he beats him up.
Yeah,
he does. Yeah, he throws him around, and then Christopherson he pulls out some kung fu, which we get talked about earlier. That he's very good at kung fu because, of course, he is Christopherson. It's just everything amazing.
It's just like a throwaway line.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then in the middle of all of the anger confusion, Mr. Fox just kind of clicks in. He comes up with another plan that is going to fix everything, and he instructs his wife to go to the flint mine where Badger, who had come in with all the animals giving out to Mr. Fox, had said that there was a bunch of people waiting, and says that Miss Fox has to go and tell everybody there the help is on its way. But before she leaves, we get a really, really nice scene with Felicity and Ash, where Ash gets a little bit of that reassurance that he's kind of been looking for the entire movie. Mm-hmm. So she tells Ash that she knows that what it's like to be a little bit different. And when he questions if he's different, she says that yes, he is different, but so is she, and so is his dad, especially his dad. But at the end of the day, there's something fantastic about that. And I think that line right there is it's exactly what Ash has wanted the entire movie, and somebody finally gave it to him.
It's very lovely. I think that's a turning point for Ash as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that it's not Mr. Fox that's giving him what he wants.
He feels more comfortable in his own difference, in his own strangeness. You know, he feels like he can accept that he is different now from this point onwards in the movie, and that's really nice.
And even then, he does the classic kind of like kid thing. He kind of plays it off after and just like runs off. He's like, "Oh, I just wanted to be an athlete," and he runs off. He's like, he takes in what's being said, and you can see it. But right at the end, he's like the more childish thing, like, "Oh, that's what was she talking about?" The next
thing that he does will show that he's learned a lesson here, but he's almost maybe learned a wrong lesson as well, because it feeds his ego too much. But sorry, continue.
We get 1 human hour later. They don't give us a Fox time for this one, and all of the animals gather together to dig right under Bogus's chicken farm in an act of rebellion to fight back. So Petey, the guy that I met earlier, this would be the first time you guys have met him. He starts to play a little tune on his ukulele. He's singing away. He's got a little gang around the campfire, and they're all singing, while all of the animals decide that they're going to dig themselves into all of the farmer supplies and actually steal everything, all while having a little random stop motion-y dance in every area as a celebration for getting in and getting their stuff. And they've cleared out everything from all 3 of the farmer supplies, like what we mentioned earlier, where there were only small little jobs where they're taking everything is gone now. So we're kind of waiting to see the reaction from the farmers after losing small things. They're blowing holes into the fucking ground and shooting at things. Now they've lost everything.
Where this PT character came from, like, it's
just for you guys, he's random.
It's so random, and he's just playing tunes and stuff. It's a nice song.
I don't know why in the normal movie why he's like named in a character. He could just be an instrument player that he's singing and whatever. But on the Criterion, then you've got that whole like 10 or 15 minutes of him talking to us and explaining things. So it's a bit weird in the normal movie.
Jarvis Cocker, he's like a radio presenter. And he looks just like the character that PT does, you know, like
very creepily so.
They've definitely styled him visually on the real person.
We've had our massive heist now, and everything has been cleared out. So we get another title card where we've gone to Badger's flint mine, and in brackets is written as a refugee camp, because that's what they're using it as now for all of the animals who've been affected by the farmers that are digging in and destroying their homes. So we see a ton of like hurt or ill animals gathered together, and right there we cut to a trailer where Beans is in center of the frame, and Beans has just been informed of the fact that everything has been stolen, and he fucking freaks out. In one of the I think this is probably one of the coolest animated scenes, because he's tearing apart like a little trailer and he's moving frantically. And again, stop motion animation is insane to me. I don't understand how anybody can make it look as good as it does in this.
Yeah, you need a lot of patience. I don't know if have you guys ever done any animation at all, or stop motion animation at all?
No.
Just basic. No. We're starting off with introduction to animation, basic like 2D animation, you know, like rigging, making things move, and everything like that. But stop motion just seems to me like it feels like so alien. It's like how am I ever going to do that?
I used to do it with my Legos. I used to do it with my toys.
Yeah.
Friend Krampus and I, back in like 2007, we got into pivot stick figure animator. So YouTube used to just be full of like stick figure fights and stuff like that. So we would do that, and that's where I learned how to make things smooth. You'd need like 30 frames to get like one little bit of movement. You'd spend half an hour on something that would take like that would be like a few seconds to animate it. But when you're a kid, you got all the time in the world. So there's so many like dumb stick figure fights I've got on there. I'll maybe send you guys one later. It takes forever. So I can't even imagine doing that in 3D and then try to get all the wires out of the way or all your hands out of the way of the shot, and like how do you do that? It's crazy. There's lots of cool behind the scenes stuff of this film. It's real dope for people who are creative and want to give it a go themselves.
Right in the middle of Bean's freak out in his trailer, he comes outside and he's destroyed the entire trailer, and he goes to throw a wrench at his cider creating machine that we've seen earlier, and he gets a little idea. So he sees it and he kind of clicks out of his rage, and he goes, yes, I have an idea. So down below, as this is all happening, all of our animals are a lot happier. They're a lot more comfortable. They're feeding, they're cooking. They just overall have way nicer vibe. They've fit in, they've stole all this stuff. Now they know that they can survive down there. And Ash overhears Badger mocking Fox over his tail being gone. So Ash comes up with the idea with Christopherson that he needs to get back up and get the tail. That for his dad, he wants him to have his tail back.
At this point,
I think speech is after. Is it?
Yeah.
The speech is afterwards.
Okay. Yeah. So this is where Ash. Yeah, he's taken the wrong lesson. He's like, yo, I am fantastic. Let's go do this. We're going to go do something fantastic. And Christopherson's like, no, there's on your side of the family, Foxes are stupid.
You always do like dangerous stuff. You're constantly looking for danger.
Yeah. But he agrees to it and Ash knows that he can't do it by himself. So they're going to go and get the tail back.
So while this is happening, we get like a little quick shot of a fire brigade ahead of us, or above us, I should say, putting a hose into the mud, preparing to pump cider into the tunnel where all of the animals are actually living to try and wash them out. Yeah. And it's here where Badger's like, they're all sitting down now getting ready to have their meal, and Badger's about to give a speech, and Mr. Fox like steps over him in the conversation and goes, no, I'm going to have my speech. You're like, we don't want to hear from you. I'm going to give our speech.
The whole counter.
Again, I didn't write anything about actually what he even said, because when I was watching it this time, I was like, painful speech over Badger. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. Asshole.
It's basically just him celebrating to everybody that they've beaten the farmers. They're winning. Like, we're better than them. We made it. We've got all this stuff. We're the better ones. He doesn't get to
finish his speech.
No, because, and this is really cool. Right? This is the only scene in the entire movie that used CGI, and it's the cider coming in and taking the animals out of their happy little home with all of the cider. It's the only movie in the entire, or the only scene in the entire movie that used CGI.
Okay,
which is insane. I think that's nuts.
Yeah,
like
I didn't even notice. Yeah, I should have noticed it, but I didn't.
We've covered mostly like older movies. This is the most recent movie we've covered so far, right?
It is.
Yeah.
So none of the movies we've covered have really had CGI. I don't think.
Not that I can think of. There's nothing.
No, I don't. No, CGI wasn't even a thing.
Practical.
So
back then.
No. Yeah. So this is the first one that even has it. So it's the first of 5 episodes that has CGI. There we go.
It's barely in the movie.
It's crazy. So yeah, all of our animals, there's a weird animation of them all just like doing star shapes and little zigzags as they're getting washed away, and
it's really fun.
It is fun. It's really, really cool looking. And then the kids made it to topside to see if Bean is still wearing the tail as a tie, where to get it, and then walks Miss Bean, and she kind of wanders around not seeing them. They're eating, I don't know what that food is that we're eating. There's like little like pastries on the table that the two kid foxes are eating, and she walks in, doesn't
They're
notice
cookies or something, aren't they?
Is it cookies?
They're saying it's some sort of baked. Yeah, I think it's cooked with like some sort of flavor of like what, like cider something cookies or apple something cookies that I think she's made. Yeah.
And she doesn't see them obviously because she's blind, but then she wanders into the hallway of her house and puts on these insane jam jar glasses, and she's got this combat knife where there's literally like finger holes to put her hand into. And she's spotted the two foxes now because she's got her glasses. What? Like, she's fucking terrifying. She's got these huge eyes and the fucking combat knife is insane. Ash manages to escape, but unfortunately our other little small fox, Christopherson, did not manage to escape and has been captured by Miss Bean. So we get another shot then after this, after all of the animals have been washed away. They're kind of left into the sewers now. And we get a shot of Christopherson being held upside down. He's not dead, but he's been held upside down to kind of flaunt, like, look, we've got one of yours. If you want to come out, you're going to have to come and get this guy.
This is the first time where you realize that, the animals and the humans can understand each other.
Yes, this is the first time they fully
they can just
talk to each other. It's kind of goofy in a way that they do, because like the whole other movie makes it feel like the animals are their own world and humans are their own world, and if they were to interact, it'd be like a non-talking fox interacting with a real human type of thing.
That's what we're used to in most cartoons, where it's like the animals, sometimes they can understand the humans, sometimes they can't, but the humans can never really understand them, unless it's like a baby.
So as the animals are trapped into the sewer, we know that they can't even escape because the humans were smart enough to pull a car onto the sewer exit on the top side. So there's no way that they can even lift the cap off of the sewer to get out. They're fully trapped into the sewer. And I think in probably the most beautiful scene in the entire movie that we have next, there's a waterfall in the background.
I love that
obviously
scene.
Sewage water. It's fucking absolutely stunning. And just stood there alone by himself as Mr. Fox. And in walks his wife. And he knows it's time to give up. Right here, he knows that if he wants to save Christopherson and everybody else that's in the sewer, he's going to have to go up there and give himself up. And he says it himself. I know there's a line, he says it, he shouldn't have cussed with the farmers' heads. He wants to give up. It's like, I love the way they use just the word cuss, because you know what they're saying as an adult, but it's said there so the kids can take it in. It's so good. And then we have the important quote that, like, it doesn't fix this. This is the part where we get our explanation kind of why he is how he is, but it doesn't entirely fix Mr. Fox, but it kind of gives you a reason to sympathize with him. You kind of go, I can kind of get, you can kind of understand why you've done what you've done. So it's a quote. I remember this quote vividly. It sticks in my head. It's the quote of the movie. It's like, I have this thing where I need everyone to think I'm the greatest, quote unquote, fantastic Mr. Fox. And if they aren't completely knocked out, dazzled, and kind of intimidated by me, then I don't feel good about myself. And it's deep. You can definitely, like, if you've gone through stuff and you felt this way.
Self-aware,
Yeah, and even on it, that line in itself very heavily will connect you to Ash as a character as well, because he's done the exact same thing the whole movie. He's done the like, I need to be great for everybody to see me as the fantastic Ash, and if they don't do that, then I'm not doing enough, and I'm constantly I want to be the athletic person. I want to be involved in what my dad's doing.
They both really put their feelings out there, like on they're wearing it. Everybody can see what they're doing. Compare that to like Christopherson, who he doesn't ever need to do that.
No, he's just comfortable in himself.
He's broken up about his dad being ill, so that's maybe showing us that he has a good relationship with his father. And this is how he's come out, whereas this guy doesn't have a good relationship with his father, and he always feels like he has to prove himself. So you've got both sides of it there.
Basically, as well, it's like, even here when he's talking to his wife, he's looking for the reassurance off of her, the same way that we've had Ash doing it the whole way through the movie as well. He's constantly looking for reassurance from both his parents. It gives not only, again, it doesn't make everything he's done because he's being a shit dad through the movie to Ash, but it gives both him and Ash that different layer of I understand why they are the way they are and why they react to each other in kind of the way they do. And I think that entire scene there is just very important. Like,
they're almost too similar, Ash and Mr. Fox. Like they have that kind of need, that reassurance, or they need that like validation, you know, or else they feel like there's it goes back to like the whole masculinity sort of thing. There's one line here that I wrote down because she absolutely murders him at the end of the conversation with this. She goes, "I love you, but I'm sorry I married you." And like, it's just like, it really puts it into perspective that like,
I shouldn't have married you, right?
I shouldn't have married you. Sorry. Yeah. I shouldn't have married you. And it's just like, it really just drives home the fact that it's so brutal. And he always thought he was doing the right thing, and he always thought he was providing and, you know, being the best father and husband he could be, but he's really not been doing that at all. He's been actively doing the opposite of that.
After that, we finally do get a little bit of a nice father and son moment where Mr. Fox decides to tell Ash the story about how he found out they were going to be having him, that they dug their way out of the cage. Like we mentioned, this is where he says it to Ash, that right there and then he knew he had to dig out of the cage. He kind of explains to him what he thought about and what he expected of his kid. Like he wanted another, like, I want a kid like me. I want this. And he leans in and he just kind of tells Ash, he's like, I'm so glad it was you. And that sentence in itself, just for the entirety of the character of Ash, that right there is important. Just getting that one little bit that, like, I know I've been harder on you. Everything, I might come across as a bit of a dick, but at the end of the day, you're my son. And I'm 100% glad that it was you that I ended up with. And it's just very nice. It's very emotional.
Yeah.
You know? But now, after all of this, he's had his moment with his wife, he's had his moment with his son, and Mr. Fox is 100% ready to finally give himself up.
Yeah.
And make his way out of the sewer to give the farmers exactly what they want.
Is he 100% ready? Because he's about to turn tail and come up with a whole new plan, isn't he? That's what
I think there's a situation that what happened, like right there and then, like, you're saying goodbye to your family. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like right there in that situation, he's saying his last moment to his wife, his last, and then he's going to go up. Of course, knowing the character of Mr. Fox, brain is on 100. He's confidently come up with a plan after, but right there, I think he's ready to do the trade to get at least Christopherson back down into the sewer. But then we meet our friend Willem the Rat in the sewer, and he informs the animals that they'd happily give up Christopherson if they traded Mr. Fox. So he's already, like, Mr. Fox had already come to the conclusion himself, but Mr. Rat comes with like a letter made of weird cutouts from a newspaper confirming that if Mr. Fox comes up, we're going to do the trade.
Why did they cut out newspapers?
Yeah, is that Kylie's dialogue again? It's like, he's just like, why did he use random like magazine clippings? And it's like, to protect their identity. It's like, but they signed their names. It's just so good, and it's like, we know that they're after us as well. It's just like, it's just more witty, dry dialogue, and it's very clever. But yeah, like the whole trade offer there was great. Is great.
We then realize that Mr. Fox isn't there, so Ash stands up and decides that he's not going to let this happen. And Rat realizes this is Mr. Fox's son. This is basically next best thing. If we're going to get Mr. Fox to come up, I need to get Ash. He begins to attack Miss Fox, and as he's attacking Felicity, Mr. Fox steps back in to protect his family. They have this amazingly cartoony battle in an electric room where there's zapping and the lights are flashing. And then I think the security rat touches off of whatever the electricity is like conducting from there, and he actually gets the skeleton shock.
The Crash Bandicoot effect again.
And in the middle of it all, when he's lying on the ground, he's got 2 scratches on his neck. So he's definitely being caught as well, right?
Yeah.
So there was a version of this movie that nearly got made because the rating system thought that he had bled out, and when they give him the pool of like whatever the water that's on the ground that he thinks is cider, his last drink of cider, or is it cider? Is it cider? I think it's
not
cider. It's water,
cider?
but he treats it like it's his last drink of cider, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that is. Oh, sorry. Go on. I got something to say about that afterwards.
But yeah, the rating system, because of the way it was colored, thought that Mr. Fox was feeding the rat his own blood.
Oh my god!
So they were like, "Wait a minute, what's happening here?
Yeah,
is this a kids movie?"
Yeah.
It's so funny when I seen it yesterday. It's like, yeah, the ratings confusing. I have to get onto Wes Anderson and be like, what exactly is he drinking? Like, is it his blood or not?
Yeah,
it's very dark, isn't it?
The rat is dying, and he tells Mr. Fox where they're keeping Christopherson, right?
Yeah,
and the Fox has a really cool line. Is like, "Would you have told me if I hadn't killed you?"
Yeah,
and I'm just like, what a fun. That's so goofy because he's still alive at this point. Like, but, you know, he knows he's dead, right?
Yeah, he knows his time's up. Like.
And it's like, why did you do it? It's like, for that cider, that sweet cider.
It's the sweet melted gold, is what he calls it. It's so good. And he's like, they give him his little drink and he just passes away with the and the eyes. But that little line of the sweet melted gold, like this rat's probably spent his entire life in that cellar protecting the cider, never getting to have a drink. Or on the flip side, I've seen a couple of people saying it. He was an alcoholic and he lived in there drinking all that cider, and that was his life as well. So either way, if you look at it, his whole life was cider.
So it's like a purple goopy gloopy consistency that the fox like just gives to him. He's like, here, have some of the cider, and the rat just believes that it is. And I think, to me, that is more of like the message of the movie, where it's like, be happy with what you have. It's a thing about perspective, you know. So because the rat believes that it's cider, he dies happy, and his, you know, the son is like, oh, he redeemed himself in the end, and you know, because if Mr. Fox had been like, he had it pretty good beforehand, and if he'd just looked at it from a different perspective, his life, like none of this would have happened. They wouldn't have been in this horrible situation. But yeah, so the rat and Mr. Fox are like two sides of the same coin there. I don't know. That's that for me.
So I think it's after here. It's after the fight and having to come back and protect his family, where the suicide mission is off. I think he now knows he's to fight to protect his family. That kind of way.
So the rat has redeemed himself in his death, and then Mr. Fox is like, yeah, but it's still just a fucking rat behind like a Chinese takeaway, and then he pushes him into the sewer. He just drifts off. You know, there's no burial or anything. Just push him into the sewage water.
Poor rat.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go on.
No, it's fine. We have another title card that says a go for broke rescue mission. Yeah. So Mr. Fox now is giving a decent speech this time, because he hasn't jumped over Badger, about the animals that are with him. He does a little tiny plug for his writing and mentions that nobody reads it, but he understands that's totally fine that happens. And he tells them how they're all still wild animals at heart, and they all have to use their abilities as this wild animal against these humans if they're going to make it out of here.
This is when I was waiting for the superhero moment where they all get to use their cool abilities, but it doesn't really pay off too much. But
no,
I like how they all get their Latin names. He's like, yeah, we're going to use you've all got cool Latin names.
Yeah. When he's like hyping them all up and he's just calling them out by their Latin. Yeah, that's really cool.
The mouse is the best one. Microtus Pennsylvanicus or something like that. That's really cool.
The little Taylor mouse. He was voiced by Adrian Brody, another guy that shows up in a whole bunch of Wes Anderson movies too, and an amazing actor. I really like Adrian Brody as an actor.
What's your favorite Adrian Brody movie? Do you have one?
Mine, unfortunately, is a Wes Anderson movie as well.
Okay, well that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. For me, it's Predators. I love that film. It's so sick. Predators. It's the third Predator movie. It's so sick. You don't like it?
Yeah. I don't like Predators. It's not. There's some cool stuff, but you know what ruins it for me entirely? It's Topher Grace, and he's just miscast. That's all it is. That's all I have. Is Topher Grace is the problem.
Topher Grace he's wonderful.
We were talking about Venom earlier, weren't we?
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
We won't talk about Topher Grace's Venom. He's Spider-Man Lizard. That's what that is. It's not Venom.
I'm pretty sure he's Eddie Brock. I'm pretty sure he's Venom.
He's not. He's really not. That whatever that thing was. No. Right. Back away from Spider-Man before I get angry. We get a moment where we said it, where all the names have been said, and then they're getting ready. It's basically them getting hyped up. So they're all preparing to come up and fight to make sure to get Christopherson back from the humans, because Mr. Fox isn't giving himself up anymore. So now they're all preparing for war against the farmers and the entire town, basically, because they've all come together to get the animals.
Yeah.
So the animals have decided to send a newspaper note back up to the humans.
It's so funny. They've done it out of like other newspapers as well.
Yeah. And they've negotiated that if the humans move the car away from the cap of the sewer at exactly 10, they will come up and they'll give Mr. Fox to the humans.
Yeah.
The entire town is sitting around this cap when it comes to 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's like another Western setup.
It is, setup. And the whole town is on edge.
Yeah.
And they try to trick
reporters and stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, and there's all the snipers have been set up on roofs with guns waiting as well. It's insanity. And yeah, they try and trick Mr. Fox to show himself by playing like a response from Christopherson on a radio, but Mr. Fox is like, I know that's not him. That's just stupid. So all of the animals start tossing out fiery pine cones all around the town. And this is the most flammable town I've ever seen. Yeah, every single pine cone lands, the whole place just goes.
That's because the whole place is made out of paper mache. Because it's like a puppet world.
Yeah. But like, if you're thinking of it on, this is meant to be our realistic world. Every single building and every single setup around that place just goes up and fire.
The way the town is set out really reminded me of like Postman Pat and Fireman Sam. Like, these really nostalgic feel to it, and because we're seeing loads of humans now, and like. Yeah, it just feels like an old timey, like a better version of like the stuff we used to watch when we were growing up, you know?
Yeah. Even the setup of it weirdly reminded me, again, to bring it up, of the town that Hot Fuzz is set up in.
Oh yeah.
It's really like, and again, with everybody just sitting around with fucking guns waiting to kick off. It did something about it, just kind of clicked in my head. Maybe because we just mentioned like Hot Fuzz recently, so it was in my head.
I was I was wanting to see if like there were good copies of those paintings that Mrs. Fox does, like online. And there was some comments underneath. It was like a Reddit post where somebody posted the paint, like, oh, it wasn't even that painting. It was just like somebody else doing like thunder on landscapes. And somebody commented, who's obviously a fan of this movie, saying, still painting those. Is it the quote that Mr. Fox says, like, still painting like storm, right, and then loads of people started joining in and like quoting and laughing, and one guy's just like, what is this, some Hot Fuzz bullshit?
It's all connected.
You can imagine it in the Hot Fuzz accent as well, like, still painting them storms then, are you know, like, it's very...
any trouble with them swans?
Yeah, exactly. So the connection there is so funny.
Where was I? So also on top of this, a bunch of vehicles and stuff just explode as well. Like, these pine cones are rigged with professional fucking explosives. Once the town has all been destroyed, basically all of the animals start to jump out one by one, dodging all of the fire coming their way, and it's time for Mr. Fox to jump up out and try to make a bit of a dash to try and save Christopherson as well. In a very funny kind of comedic way, Mr. Fox and Kylie jump into an animal-sized motorbike with a little sidecar that's right beside an actual human-sized bike that has a sidecar.
It's so cartoony, this whole action scene. They're just the explosions from the pine cones, and there just happens to be an animal-sized like bike and cart, you know?
It's so fucking funny. They start zooming then through the town to make an escape. And it's in there where Kylie goes, hey, are you afraid of wolves? And Mr. Fox replies, no, but I do have a phobia of them. It's such a good reply. And then it's out pops Ash in the sidecar as well. He snuck his way into this escape, and he's sitting in right behind Kylie, and they're being followed by a helicopter who gives some information to Bean that the main target of the farmers has decided to make a break for it on his bike. And this is where the animals then arrive at the Bean Annex, where this is where the human version of the security guard is sat outside wearing the exact same outfit as the rat.
Okay, this is what you're talking about. Right.
There's like a little ticket booth. See, I got the scenes confused if we'd seen the person before the cider seller or not, but it's here to have it. There's like a little guy right there, and they get to the annex and they break into the annex with a credit card that belongs to Kylie. Why have animals got credit cards? It's a platinum card too. He's got some money. Kylie's packing for a plumber, which we've seen him doing the work of, or at least a handyman.
He's
Man has got himself some money.
Super, which I think is an American term for like the guy who works on like an apartment. You know, he's the apartment handyman.
Once they've finally gotten inside, they're greeted by a dog that, surprisingly enough, that's not soap in his mouth. That is rabies. The dog's name is Spitz. Yeah. So, as we were alluded to before, the only way that you can handle these dogs is by giving them this blueberry to send them to sleep.
Yeah.
But my boy Kylie forgot to bring the blueberries, even though it was written on his hand.
Yeah. And it's,
so he gets a bit of a rinsing.
Clearly on his hand,
and
they set up the
Fox
stakes
decides,
earlier. Like if you get bitten by this dog, you got to have shots in your stomach for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Like my friend, good. Shout outs to T-Wang. She internet celebrity T-Wang. She was getting her like cat. Like I think it got in a fight with another cat or something, and it had to have like a rabies injection, right? So she's at the vet, and the vet's telling her to hold the cat while the injection is given. So the cat gets injected, but then the cat is pissed off, right?
Right.
So the first thing it does is it then bites my friend.
Ouch.
And it's just had like this fucking rabies injection in it. So they don't know what the cat's deal is. So then she has to go and get a bunch of horrible injections as well.
Ouch.
Luckily, no rabies of the pair of them. But yeah, what a nightmare.
What actually could happen to a person if they got rabies? I've never looked into this. Like, if you just get bitten by someone with rabies, can you die?
28 days later.
Yeah. Seriously, you just over time you lose yourself and you fucking zombify. Basically,
that's fucking insane. That's something that, like, you know what I mean? Like something you wouldn't even probably notice in an animal without being educated on it could just come up and bite you, and that's it. That's GG. That's mad.
Okay, symptoms of rabies usually take 3 to 12 weeks to appear, but they could appear after a few days. Numbness, tingling where you were bitten, seeing things that are not there, hallucinations.
Jesus Christ.
Rabies spreads to people and animals via saliva, usually through a bite or a scratch. It's real bad stuff. You get horribly wrecked, and I don't think there really is a cure for it other than to just keep getting injections.
That's mad.
You can become paralyzed. You do seizures. It's terrifying. It's
imagine that just happened. Imagine your cat getting you without you knowing, they bite you on the foot and you're like, oh, you bit me, and then one day you just wake up and you can't fucking move. Like,
God, yeah,
that's crazy.
It's awful.
Be careful, guys. Animals can be dangerous sometimes.
Be careful. I've been playing Dead Space. It's so dope. There's
great game.
Rabified fucking monsters.
You playing the original or are you playing the remake?
Original. I've played the remake. The remake's fantastic as well.
Very good too.
Yeah, I'm playing. I just finished the original yesterday. I started Dead Space 2. So dope. So awesome.
Dead Space 2 is my favorite. Yeah, by a landslide. One is fantastic.
That is the best one. So I'm excited to play
incredible.
I've only ever played the first one, even the original. I never played any of the sequels.
I want to play the remake at some point.
It's very good, Steve. Very, very good.
It's basically the same game except like better graphics, and they change the story a little bit.
It's a little bit more beautiful and they tweak a couple of story things, but it's basically the same, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, it's dope.
Where are we now?
Dead Space and Fantastic Mr. Fox. They have a connection somewhere. We'll figure it out.
Come watch our streams. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Back
description. But yes, the option that is only there for the little bandits that have broken in is that Mr. Fox is going to have to face head on this dog, and he starts walking towards it with this awkward real smile, and he's got a little dog toy, and he's like slowly drifting over towards the dog.
Yeah.
But he also forgot one of the rules that we've not even mentioned on the podcast that was mentioned earlier.
Never
Look a beagle in the eyes.
Don't look a beagle in the eyes.
And he looked in the eyes, and the dog freaked the fuck out. And all while this is happening, little confident Ash has now decided to break in and save Christopherson, who's trapped in a little like plastic box with a lock on it to make sure that he can't get in. That's stuck on a counter.
Christopherson is telling him what. Like he's like, all right, I'm gonna quickly teach you karate. You're gonna hit this lock at the right angle, and you're gonna do this correctly, and it just fucks up.
He just gives him like a little kick, and the plastic box just falls off the table and smashes onto the ground. And it's here where we get a nice little moment between Ash and Christopherson, where Ash kind of apologizes to Christopherson for being different and promises that he'll be better. And after Mr. Fox has escaped the feral dog, Mr. Fox gives Kylie the exact kind of same like deadpan look because he's freaked out that he's just after managing to get away from the rabies infested dog. And from here, all four of the animals are making a break for it. They're ready to get out. But before they get to escape, stands the farmers and all of their team. And right in the middle of them all is Bean, still wearing Mr. Fox's tail.
Yeah.
And right there, Mr. Fox, you can see even in the way that they animate like the face, he instantly goes, I want my tail back. Even in his face.
I'm not leaving without that tail or something,
Yeah.
They're behind a bunch of boxes.
And it gets blasted.
Yeah.
it's like such, again, like a westerny type of scene where somebody be hidden behind something and they just blast the cover and leave him with just enough to hide behind. And Ash decides that he's going to make a dash for it, and he's using his new kung fu skills to flip and jump and run, and he makes it right to the door where they'd broken into earlier and releases the rabies angered dog onto the group of humans. And the dog tears the tie off of Mr. Bean after chasing everybody.
Oh, it's so sad. The tail just gets destroyed.
And the face drop on Mr. Fox's soul. He's just like, oh, fuck. My poor tail.
That's his masculinity gone. Yep.
I'm surprised here they didn't just shoot the dog. Seeing as they're so willing to shoot at every other animal that's pissed them off, they didn't just shoot the dog.
So why does Wes Anderson hate dogs?
Yeah.
Again, knowing his track record, he probably thought about shooting the fucking dog.
It's a kids movie. It's a kids movie. There's no deaths in this movie.
What about that one movie with all the rabbits and stuff? What's that one again?
Rat dies.
And the rat died. Yeah, the rat's dead. So they could have killed the dog.
You're thinking of Watership Down, which is just
that
like,
one.
God, all right. So we were talking about like parents and watching animated movies when we were younger. So because I think even like the people who worked at the BBC, because they just saw like an animation, they were like, this is for kids. So they would constantly play Watership Down just during the day for kids to watch on TV. And I watched that. I was traumatized. It was what a nightmare.
Same.
What a terrible. I mean, it's a fantastic movie, but just so.
It's not made for small kids.
And
it is not made for small kids.
Little kids should not watch that movie. They did recently they remade it with like 3D CGI and stuff like that. I've not seen it, but just so brutal. That and Dumbo freaked me out when I was a kid. You know when Dumbo like gets drunk? And starts seeing all the weird purple elephants and all that shit. That was so scary.
One that sticks with me is in the Disney Pinocchio where he starts transforming into a donkey.
Mm-hmm.
That freaked the fuck out of me.
The body horror.
As a kid, I was just like, oh my God, this could happen to me. If I drink booze with bad people, I'm going to turn into a donkey.
Body horror freaked me. So I watched an episode of Goosebumps where this kid starts eating like pumpkin seeds and he gets like really good at basketball because it makes him grow really tall, but then he starts to rot because he's turning into a pumpkin. That freaked me out. That was terrifying.
Goosebumps was elite. Great show. Great show. The original one, at least.
I love how the opening of Goosebumps, like, it's like the... And then they even have like a dog do it.
And the glowing eyes of the dog. What a great show, man. We're so old.
We are.
Like, I'm just thinking that.
We have a combined age of almost 90 years old.
Thank you. Damn. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Steve, what traumatized you as a kid? What?
What cartoon that shouldn't have got you got you?
Courage the Cowardly Dog, man.
I mean, that was meant to get us. Why was that?
Steve, that's 100%.
But no, that made me think I was seeing like Bloody Mary in the mirror and shit. Like, and I was freaking out.
Absolutely terrifying.
I was freaking out my parents.
Because I didn't have that TV channel, right? I would only see clips at my friend's house when he was like watching it. So I didn't get the full picture. So I just thought it was the most terrifying thing in the world because I never got the ending where he's safe. We never watched that far through. You know?
No.
Just terrifying.
Courage the Cowardly Dog's creepy as fuck.
It's so creepy.
And the worst thing is, I remember when I got a little bit older into my teens, Courage the Cowardly Dog would only ever be on at nighttime. They knew a kid shouldn't have been fucking seeing that.
Oh, well, good. Yeah.
It was like freaky. 9 or 10 o'clock. I'd click on the Cartoon Network and like, oh, Courage is on. Let me just stick on episodes.
People a bit older than us watching that would have had a great time. I imagine smoking some weed in your teens and just like watching that with some mates. Like, what a fantastic time that would be.
Like shows like Adventure Time and stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I could just imagine if people are high, this must be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
So I suppose we're on the final stretch of this now, aren't we?
We're getting there. We are indeed. As they're driving away, Mr. Fox gives a nice little bit of a hey, well done for doing that to Ash, which again, it's now showing that his character is growing a little bit in our movie and realizes that he can be nice to his son. Mm-hmm. And we get to a very important scene.
He grabs the tail on the way out, so they escape on the bike.
Yeah. I completely forgot to jot that down. But we have the important scene, which I'm very excited to hear opinions about because it's very random. So as they're riding back to their families, Kylie instructs them not to turn around. He's like, do not turn around right now. And Fox just stops up the bike, turns around, and on a snowy cliff, right on the side of where there's like a hill and grass, everything looks normal. There's a snowy mountain with like a little bit of snow patch there. We see a pitch black wolf who doesn't respond to Fox when he asks. Fox shouts up to him. He's like, "Where did you come from?" And he doesn't reply. He just stares him down. He doesn't react. He just watches them. And as they're staring down, Mr. Fox's eyes kind of well with tears, and then both of them just raise their fists together. The fox and the wolf raise their fists together as they're looking at each other. And as that happens, Mr. Fox says to everybody else that's on the bike, "Is like, what a beautiful creature. Wish him luck, boys." And then the wolf just wanders off into like the little bit of a shrub or whatever that's there. Yeah. What do we think?
For me, it's like that is the true wild side that Mr. Fox has been wanting to live his wild life, you know. Mm-hmm. But the wolf just kind of embodies that, and the wolf is also it's basically a silhouette, you know. It's like the dark shadow, the darkness that I don't know, maybe Mr. Fox, that's his dark side, you know, that's out there living that, and it's also its freedom too, right? Like, they've escaped. The wolf is living this free life. That's what I get out of it. There's so much you can read into this. What about you guys?
Steve, you got anything?
It's the same as just like it's the embodiment of everything he's always wanted. It's just the freedom. It's the animal at its most kind of like it's that animal instinct. At its most like kind of like physical. It's there. It's the full manifestation of the inner kind of like animal of Mr. Fox that he often speaks about at his roots, what he is. And it's when he's tearing up, he's just like beautiful. It's what he always wanted to embrace, but now he's actually just letting that side of him go because now he's got a family, he's got responsibilities, and when they're like, that's why he just kind of like one last kind of like he raises the paw in salute to like the life he always wanted, but he's accepted that he won't be able to have. And letting go of it, you know.
No, you both we're all on the same level. I think that basically the same as that. It's like he is seeing what he wishes he was seeing. Mm-hmm. What he kind of expected his life to be before the family had kicked off at the start of the movie. And and what he truly in himself believed he was being when he was going hunting for chickens. He thought that was, oh, that's what it's like to be a wild animal. But when he comes across this wolf, he kind of recognizes like that's what it's like.
Why is the wolf saluting him?
It's just I think I've just written here. It's like,
Yeah,
like you said earlier, right? The chickens don't talk and this wolf don't, right?
yeah.
But for some reason, other animals do.
Yeah.
So I think when we came to this, there's two sides of why they don't talk. The wolf doesn't talk because he's not living that mundane life that the rest of not doing as the movie has us seeing the human life. He's out of that, so he doesn't even need to talk. He doesn't need to talk. But if he wanted to, he could have said something, because all the other animals in this movie are the same, right? And then the chickens have been they've been dumbed down into a sense of the way we see animals as food. Obviously, vegetarians don't eat it, but the way we see animals as food is you don't care about them. You're sitting there and you're eating chicken. You're thinking,
cutting out a little bit, but yeah.
Sorry, but you're like, so there's the two sides of it where the chickens are dumbed down to not talk and be the human animals that everybody else is, because they're not treated like that. They're just treated as food. And the wolf is on the whole other spectrum of it, where the wolf, is living the life of an actual animal. And his little salute towards Mr. Fox is just saying, like, I am able, like, I have in my mind, I'm able to be like you, but I'm this, I'm what I am. And here's my salute to you. Go do your thing, live your version of your life. Do you know, that kind of way?
Cool. Yeah.
That's just the way I thought of it. Like when I first seen it, I didn't deep it. But last night when I sat with that scene, because it's a very
some mutual respect there between the pair of them.
Yeah. And just a little behind the scenes fact of this is the one scene Wes Anderson said he'd never cut out this movie. He basically fought with the studio to be like, if I can't have this scene in the movie, I'm not going to make the movie. So it was important to him, so that's why I kind of dove into it yesterday and came up with that whole spiel of the two sides of what the sentient animals are and where Mr. Fox himself fits into the middle of it all.
It's almost like a deity that he's seeing. You know, he's seeing the deer in the woods. It's pretty wild. It's literally wild. You know, this other life. Yeah, that's it for me, and that leads us. That's the end, right? Is that how the movie ends? Is that where the movie?
No, we have one last title card.
Okay,
we have 3 days later.
Sorry, guys. Yeah. Oh, I won't be able to. I have to dip now because I have an appointment. So I thought
that's all good. That's all good.
So would you two mind just taking the last scene and
we got this?
Of course, yeah, we got you. We got you.
I appreciate it. I just
have a good day,
I'll catch you guys in a little while. All right.
Everybody say bye to Steve in the comments.
Hey, bye.
Right, yeah, we're at our last scene. So we get our 3 days later, or 2.5 Fox weeks, and the farmers are camping the sewer hole, waiting for the animals to come up where they had from before. They're now obsessing over catching all the animals. And while this is all happening, all the animals underneath, their life is still going. They're struggling. They've not got a lot, but like they're trapped down there, but they haven't got a whole bunch. But Mr. Fox and Kylie have something to show people as it starts to look a bit gross.
I really disliked this.
Same. I don't like the ending.
I dislike this so much. I feel like it's like they've not learnt their lesson at all. So I
think the book has a different ending as well, which is better.
The book kind of ends where he's giving his speech.
Yeah,
to all the animals after everything.
That's what I mean. This piece here, if they'd have just had a speech then instead after the wolf scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think if they had a nice "we're all good now" speech instead,
ended on the wolf scene. Really, that's why. In my head, I kind of made it so that was the ending. But yeah, so what happens is the Mr. Fox and Kylie they've discovered that above them is a supermarket, right?
Yeah.
And that's where they can eat to their heart's content all of the packed goods that have came from the farms. And it's just like, have you not learned your lesson? What the fuck? What are you doing?
We do. We have that, like, they come up out of the vent, and then as they're all very joyful about, we have everything we want now, we're going stealing, we also get the announcement that Mrs. Fox is pregnant again.
Yeah.
And then there's a really cool shot of the two of them in them plastic figures where they're both glowing. So now they're both happy instead of just like Felicity was happy last time they were pregnant because she was getting the family. Now they're both like good. But that's the only part of that ending that I think is important, is that we get that.
Well,
I do get what you're right though.
That I like is they all do like a cheers, don't they? Where they've all got the apple juice cartons.
Yeah.
But Ash has like a grape juice carton because it's different, you know.
Yeah, that's right as well. Yeah, that's very good.
But I
think that's everything. I think the getting into the supermarket ending is like, well, we basically put all ourselves in danger. Now we're going to probably do it again. But then it's a supermarket. It's not really like, would they notice it? Because they probably will only do the small stealing now. And when somebody comes in to do all the restock and stuff, they probably wouldn't even notice the stuff.
There's probably a bigger message in there as well about like how, hey, maybe don't steal from the farmers, but steal from the big companies or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah. Not big brain enough to deduct that.
But even then, technically, the name of the supermarket is the name of the three farmers. So technically, they're still stealing from the farmers.
They are stealing from the farmers, and it's all the packed goods from the farm, you know? So instead of stealing directly from the source, they just have a new playground to steal from, basically. And also, like, when they're living in the pipes and stuff underneath the shop, that's so, it's just not as nice as how they all had a really cool habitat before that was completely ruined by Mr. Fox, and he never gets his comeuppance, really.
Well, on that, to just do like the devil's advocate on that, you mentioned it themselves earlier that they need to get, like, why wasn't he happy with the life he had before? Maybe now that they've had this and they're in the suit, he's a lot more comfortable with his situation and he doesn't care where they live. It's just that they're together kind of thing. You know what I mean?
That is fair. But to me, okay, I've wrote a little list here of why Fox is an asshole. So he puts his own needs before everybody else. He tries to live through his nephew and almost gets his nephew killed. He's constantly putting other people in danger for his plans. He's lying to his wife. He's alienating his son. He takes advantage of Kylie constantly. And he gets everybody's homes ruined, you know? Like, they all have to leave their homes and go and live in like the shitty pipes, which they all seem fine with, I guess. So that's okay. But like, the worst he gets is he gets his tail chopped off and, you know, naughty slap on the wrist. But yeah, like, what is it, you know?
I kind of agree with you as well, because the conversation that he has with Felicity where she's like, I shouldn't have married you, but then they end up having another baby and it all just seems to click back in. There's a lot of like, he does a lot of awful fucking shit and nobody really gives him the full on like bad result of it.
Maybe, you know, that because it's like a light kids, because it is a movie for everybody really. And because it's a movie for everybody, you can't have that dark ending, you know? Because it ends with they all having a little dance. They're all having a little... Yeah,
they're just having a little boogie. Then it cuts out and we see the outside of the shop and it's like the names of the three farmers and we realize they're still stealing from the same people. But yeah, the ending is pretty happy. It's genuinely just pretty happy.
Yeah. So
overall, after watching it, did you enjoy it though? Like,
I had a really fun time with this. This is the movie I've wrote the least notes for, so that's probably why we digressed a lot. Sorry about that, guys.
I didn't know.
I think it's really fun when we do that. So that's cool.
I agree. Like, I like when we do our, but like, I for my own movies have so many notes that I just like ramble through so much shit. So I rather when I start to ramble that somebody comes in and goes, hey, let's talk about something random, so I can click out of me constantly chatting. So I really enjoyed it.
It does help. By the way, dude, you have beasted with this, man. This is so dope. Thanks, bro. Thank you for introducing me to this film and also just taking the lead on this. I've been suffering with fucking COVID and feeling sorry for myself and feeling all shit and worried about like, I've barely wrote anything about the movie. But then just the act of us talking about it, I actually had a lot more to say about the film than I thought I was going to have, you know? So that was...
See, I like the way we're doing this. So we're having a little podcast moment now that Steve's gone. Rest in peace, Steve. And I know what Steve's next movie is, so don't worry. I'll have us covered. I know what it is.
So in the background, Dex is like, oh shit, Steve, what's the movie for next week? We don't have it. You bounced before you said. And Steve has chosen a fantastic movie. We will explain.
I like the way we're doing it though. It gives say last week now with your episode, I felt because you were doing it, you were in control of it. I felt like, all right, I'm going to take a little bit of backseat and I'll comment when I can comment. And I think the way we're doing it works well. Whoever's movie picks is leading it. They're getting to do their research while the other two are doing their bits and they're able to come in. I think it just, like it's not putting pressure on everybody to.
It's all
like we're not saying it to you. Yeah, me and Steve aren't going, Seb, you carry it and we'll talk about whatever you talk about. It's whoever picks their movie is doing their work on their movie, and it all I'm enjoying doing it. It's a lot of fun.
It's one of the best parts of my week is doing this, and then the next best part is when it comes. By the way, new episodes every Friday. It comes out, and I get to see the reaction from people via comments and people coming to stream. So thank you guys.
I've been
for that.
Really enjoying everybody messaging me, or if I'm going into either your stream or Steve's stream, people are sitting there, I could be just sitting there and they're just seeing people saying, oh, I like this, or my opinion is on this. And a massive shout out, I have to say it, to Hilarique. Every single comment Hilarique puts in on a video, I read it and absolutely love it. She comes in with they're
amazing. While we were recording this, we've had a great comment from Queen Cass. Cass, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. Sweet Glamour was saying in my Discord server that she was watching Dawn of the Dead in preparation to listen to the podcast.
That's sick.
Sleeping Flower has been watching the movies in the background while listening to the podcast. People are going and doing their own homework so they can take part in it. And that's so beautiful. Thank you guys for
a big part of this that I'd love is for people to see, if somebody found one of the movies we talk about and it ends up being an all-timer for them, that they'd loved it that much. I'd love to know that we were the ones that kind of held their hand and goes, hey, check out this movie, and they ended up loving it that much.
It's such a nice movie to introduce people to, Bex. And also Wes Anderson, I don't think he's quite popular now, but it's only in the most past few years, really, I suppose.
Yeah, I think after Grand Budapest Hotel came out, everybody got a very good taste of what he was like on a higher scale. Now his movies are talked about a lot more than
but there's
beforehand.
Still probably a lot of people who aren't as into movies as us who's never checked out a Wes Anderson film, and this is such a dope one to begin with.
If
as I was saying earlier.
Enjoy this one, I would highly recommend Isle of Dogs as another animation one, and The Grand Budapest Hotel. If you love this, you're going to love both of those movies, because it is both of them are very, very good. Some of the earlier works are a little bit more of indie emotional stuff. There's a lot of heavier themes in a movie like The Royal Tenenbaums. So movies like Grand Budapest Hotel, even the Darjeeling Limited is a bit heavy, but it's a very easy watch for something that talks so heavily.
I think that's a great movie. I love the Darjeeling Limited. It's so awesome. That was when I was like, oh, this is a good director right here. I need to watch more of his films. And as I have said, I am disappointed in some of them, but he's very interesting. It's always interesting. It's always visually pleasing to look at his movies too.
If you've never watched it, this is just for you or anybody listening, but mainly for you. If you've not watched The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou, I'd really recommend that one. It's very, very good.
After I watch this film, so what we do is, guys, we've got at the end of each podcast, we'll say what the next movie we're going to watch is. So we've got about a week for us to find some time to watch the movie and make some notes. And what Steve and Bex do, which is crazy to me that they're able to do this, is they always watch the movie the night before, a few hours before we record, because we record this in the morning. And it's so nuts that you've brought all of this incredible information to us, having just watched the movie for the podcast. I know you've seen it before and stuff, but
I don't know what Steve's setup is. I know he does the same as me to watch it, but during the week, once we've recorded, so say when we recorded Dawn of the Dead, I'd spend then a couple of days during the week just looking up little tiny bits or whatever, and then for this mainly, I wanted to talk to my brother, but we didn't really seen this recently, so I kind of took a lot of what he told me when we were watching this into my head to be he told, we only watched it, I think, again last year with one of my friends to show him it, and everything he said, I took it all in, and then when our episodes drop on a Friday, that's where I'll start deep researching some little bits about whatever's coming next. And then on Sunday, unfortunately, everybody in my community gives out to me. I get fuck all sleep on a Sunday because between spending time with my family, hanging out with the lads, I watch the movie. I watch the movie again because I watched the movie once to just watch it. I watch it another time to pause, freeze frame it, and write it.
Yeah, that's what I do. Unless I've seen. So Dawn of the Dead was good for me because I had seen it so many times, and I've been traveling, so I didn't really have the time to do all the research. You know, and I previously, just in my fascination for those films, I've done a lot of research. I've checked those out. But yeah, like, I'm really getting into the, like, it'll be so annoying. Like, nobody's ever going to watch a movie with me again for the podcast because, like, I'm just like pausing it the whole time and writing notes and like stopping on scenes and rewinding. And it's a lot of fun to do, actually. It's a new process in movie watching. But with this film, I started doing that and then I stopped about 20 minutes in and I just let it flow. You know?
Yeah.
As I said, my parents like sat down with me, so we just watched the whole thing, and I just let it. It's such a smooth movie, and it's so straightforward, and it's so fun that even I got my criticisms about Mr.Fox, but it's such a happy, enjoyable movie to watch. You know, we've watched a few downers, and that's just because we love the horror genre, right?
Yeah,
and you've taken us out of our comfort zone. I didn't know how much I would have to say about something that wasn't, you know, specifically in that genre, because
during the week I was thinking the same. Like, again, anybody in the comments or anybody in our communities, if you watch All This Way Fire, please feel free to talk to me, especially because I've brought this movie to us, so I'm very curious about it. I was anxious about bringing up a non-horror movie because I thought, right, we all love horror and it's very easy to talk about horror because you talk about the kills, the monsters, the blah, blah, blah. But how are the three of us going to be able to sit down and talk about a movie that doesn't have somebody, like, you know, somebody's getting shot or there's a zombie attacking somebody, actually sit and just watch this.
When you stream as well, it's mostly horror games, right? Because for me, it's basically all horror games when I'm streaming. So... like, it's so embedded in us and this is our first animated movie too.
I'll definitely have a lot more animated movies coming. There's a couple cool ones down the line if we do this for long times. You hinted
at a few.
There's one. I'll give a little winky wink.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. There's a movie in the anime genre, which I'm not known fondly for loving, that I do adore very much, that will probably come up. Maybe I don't know what way it lines up right now with the podcast, but my birthday is at the end of the month. I think Steve has my week that week, and I'm going to talk to him about swapping with me, and maybe
do a swap. That's cute.
For my birthday, we might talk about an anime movie, which is not me at all.
Oh shit! You know what? I've just realized I've got people coming over and staying with me next. Not next Monday, the Monday after.
Yeah.
So.
Break week, or do we do stuff?
We'll talk about that probably on a different day.
Like we said, we have a whole week. This is why we did this as well with the setup. We have a whole
hit
week.
You guys up about that. All right. So okay, before we continue, thank you all for listening for so long, for listening up to here. It's great. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a 5-star review, please. That would make our days. That would be awesome. If you want to catch us anywhere else, I am at The Spooky Memes on YouTube and on Twitch and on TikTok. The Spooky Memes, all one word on Twitch and 3 separate words on YouTube.
Big famous streamer, by the way, guys. Don't forget.
Big famous streamer. Let's talk about the biggest famous streamer. Stevel Knievel. He's not here right now.
Yeah.
But you can find him on Twitch. Stevel Knievel, like Evil Knievel, but Stevel, right?
It'll all be in descriptions as well if you need to find it, but you will find
descriptions
me.
will be there. You should check him out. He has been streaming Ghost of Tsushima recently.
Yes.
I've been streaming Chained Together recently and Dead by Daylight. Like? Chained Together is so much fun.
Yeah.
Bex, where can people find you?
You'll see me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all the same places. Hopefully I'll be doing a lot more DVD content on other stuff. I'm going to be playing Ghost of Tsushima myself, and
have you played it before?
I'm saying I have not. This is my first time. I've been running through
it.
I love it.
Once. I bought it recently.
Yeah.
I've only played it once as well.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I'm putting it in stone. Everybody in my community is going to sigh when Silent Hill 2 remake comes out. I'm platinum the game. I'm getting the platinum trophy. It's happening.
Have I ever shown you? I've got 3 copies of Silent Hill 2 next to me.
I love Silent Hill 2 so much.
I'm
anxious. The closer I'm getting to the remake, the more anxious I get.
We were talking about Dead Space earlier. I just realized, I was like, holy shit. He's basically the James Sunderland of space, because he's looking for his dead wife, isn't he? And he's losing his mind.
Dead Space is so good. It is so good.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait. Before we end, right? I have to do this. I'm doing this now. I'm shouting out another movie that we probably need to talk about. Really quick.
We've not said what we're watching next week.
Yes,
for Steve's choice yet, but we will get there. Okay, Bex, go on ahead.
The movie I want to talk about is I saw TV Glow. Right, I watched it the other day. I was in weird headspace, and that movie kicked my ass. I'd recommend it for some people.
What is it?
I'm just giving. It's a drama horror movie. It's very, very light on the horror movie. Very, very light, but it is a massive movie. It's made by a trans director, and it's massive about identity, transsexuality. Just in general, there's a lot of heavy themes there. It is fucking beautiful movie, and like I know some people probably won't vibe with it, but I have had the movie bury itself under my fucking skin since I watched it on Sunday. So I would heavily recommend it. Only if you're in a good headspace.
I saw the TV Glow, I'm picturing like a kid in front of a TV glowing, you know.
It's exactly that.
That's just a really dumb
honestly,
thing to say,
I would say.
I'm thinking of the Poltergeist poster. That's what I'm thinking of. Is it?
Poltergeist. There's a lot of that in it. Like it's very built around 90s people and VHS and old dodgy TV shows like old Power Rangers, all that kind of stuff. But obviously, it has a whole.
That sounds dope.
Honestly, I would recommend checking it out at some point. Put it on your list at least. Go into it with a not. If you're not feeling great, I wouldn't jump into it. That's my.
Follows 2 troubled young friends whose connection to their favorite television show drives them to question their reality and identities. Yeah, that sounds dope.
And again, I've talked about this on stream so much because it's been in my head, under my skin. It's very, very on the nose in the best way possible about like transsexuality and coming out and hiding it. And it's if anybody that listens to this is of course a trans person, this movie will be massive. I'd imagine it'll be very, very easily connected to. So yeah, that's my little shout out before we get to the Steve movie. It was fucking great.
Well, you know, I think this is a cool little section that you've created here, a little segment of just like recommendations we have that we're not going to cover in full on the podcast. But
not anytime soon.
Yeah,
we don't know. It could end up. We don't want to say no to nothing.
Okay, yeah, of course. That I've been ill. I've been lying in bed, and I was like, whenever I'm ill, I'm like, I want to check out some like. Now is my time to binge watch something that I've been missing. You know, something that's been on my list that I haven't had the chance to check out. So I watched Scavenger's Reign on Netflix. Have you ever heard of it? It's this animated show.
I'll look it up right now.
It's about these guys who they live on like a space station, but everything's falling apart, so they have to eject, and they fall down on a planet. And it kind of follows these 3 separate stories of these survivors who have crashed on this planet. And the planet is like, you won't get the reference because you've not seen it, but it's like a world of Studio Ghibli, but everything is out to kill them. And like, it's so beautiful. And when you first watch it, like the first like opening minutes, it's on like the humans in a ship, and it's very ugly. But that is because the humans are not the pretty part of the animation. It is the world and the environment and how everything like synergizes, and just how the world works is so fascinating. The closest thing I can think to it is the game Rain World. If anybody's a fan of that obscure game, which I adore, just I had such a great time. It's got like 10 out of 10 on like everything, and for me, it's a 10 out of 10 show, which is very rare. To have a show I rate so high. It's so dope.
That does raise a good question. I know Steve's actually not here, but I'm sure Steve will listen to this little bit where he's been missing, and he'll have comment on it. and I'm saying it on the podcast because I know people want to talk about it, and said to me, do we feel we could ever cover a TV show on podcast?
A
do we
TV
feel?
show? Yeah, I guess we'd have to discuss whether or not we had the time to
binge a show out.
To binge a show, yeah.
So see, not even, right. So we came up with the ideas. I was talking to some people. If we watched a show over a couple of weeks and did a season review, so say if we did Mr. Robot, not to say that because it's mad, but if we did Mr. Robot, if we finished season 1, we finish season 2, season would we do it?
Bex. You cut it out, man.
Sorry. But like saying, yeah, if we did a season, we'll talk a season. We do another season. We talk a season of the show rather than watching 6 seasons and then talking about the whole thing. You know what I mean?
That's maybe more doable. Yeah.
A discussion for another time, I think.
Mr. Robot is extreme kino, guys. If you haven't checked out Mr. Robot, it's one of the best TV shows ever. It's
9 years old as well.
Highly influenced by anime, Bex.
Yeah.
Go watch Evangelion.
I've seen, trust me,
there's literally scenes from Evangelion.
Evangelion is on my it's on my list. It's definitely on my list. Anime people, tell me animes I need to watch, right? Okay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, right? The most
right. Hold up. I'm getting my notes because I need to add things to my list.
By the way, every anime person out there, and I'm calling you all out, and I am one of you as well. Everybody thinks they know best, right? Every single one, every person has their idea of what you should watch. And what a lot of people do is they go way too obscure, way too weird with it, because anime gets really fucking weird because you can just do whatever in animation.
Before you throw me a list, right?
Yeah.
There's one rule that's always put me off of anime. I've watched Death Note, I've watched like very basic anime. You feed me basic stuff, I'll watch it, right?
Yeah.
If shows are overly packed in massive titties and sexual stuff, it puts me off in anime.
So, absolutely. Anime is full of that. It's full of perverseness. It's very weird because like I've been to Japan a few times. It's a very like kind of conservative place. Everybody keeps themselves. Yeah. Everybody's very nice. Everybody's very friendly. But then underneath the dark seedy world is there, right? And it really shows through anime like just how perverted the mind can get, right? Not all anime is like that.
There was an ex-girlfriend of mine showing me one. Was it Undead School or High School of the Undead or something like that? I can't remember the name.
High School of the Dead is, I think, a incredible anime, and it sucks because the guy was the creator. He was a hentai artist beforehand, right? And in fact, he even put High School of the Dead on hiatus so he could focus on his hentai work because he loved it so much. Yeah. The guy eventually passed away. Like, I don't know if he was in an accident or he was ill. So they never got to finish the story. And maybe that's partially due to the fact that hentai got in the way of the story.
Hentai more important.
Hentai got in the way. But High School of the Dead is, it's funny. Me and my friend, we were really into it back in high school, and we showed our IT teacher who was a weeb, and he was like, you guys have shown me the best anime that I can't talk to about with anybody else.
When I was getting shown it, I just felt like perverted. That. Yeah, I was getting like that.
It's because the author was a hentai artist. He drew.
Yeah.
If you don't know what hentai is, it's porn for hentai. Literally means pervert in Japanese, and that's porn for anime.
Trust me. Shout out to my mod Kat. Kat's done a lot of research on her own and figured things. We've all gone through that road. Shout out to Kat. I know you'll make it this far. Thank you for hentai conversations.
If you want more hentai conversations, come talk to me on my stream, guys. Because
please go bring it to Seb.
It's all we got it. In fact, you play. So we both play Dead by Daylight. You play Dead by Daylight on PlayStation, so you've not seen my Steam profile. I play on PC, but so we play it. If you don't know what Dead by Daylight is, it's a horror game where you can play as like horror villains and kill survivors, or you play as a survivor being chased by a horror villain, right? And because I like to really embody the villain part of that. People often come and give me a lot of hate on my game profile, my Steam profile. So because that's a long page that they have to scroll down before they can write like something on my profile, I just filled up my entire profile with porn games. So they have to scroll past so much porn before they can even be able to write anything. And the amount of people who are like, yeah, I was going to write a mad comment, but like, just nice profile, dude. You know,
That's insane.
Mellows people out sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So anime, right? What are you into?
Okay.
What are you into?
So I got obsessed with Death Note. So anything that's kind of, if it goes horror, I'm into it, right?
Okay,
if it goes
so
into
I was
kind
going
of
to
horror,
say Death Note I think is the best introduction to anime.
Yeah.
Where it's not overly sexualized.
No,
there are like sexual scenes in it, but it's not overly sexualized. That isn't the focus of it. It's just a fantastically written story with two of the best big brain characters just playing
Ella's
chess with each other.
Like one of my favorite characters in a show in general. Like even as somebody that doesn't watch a lot, I love
Light Yagami are just incredible. They're so awesome, and it's great to see these guys battle each other out with their minds. Yeah, it's also got some of the best anime openings of all time. So you've already seen Death Note. Okay.
I was going to
my God,
check
there's
out.
A connection. I'm going to connect Death Note to Stevel's choice in a moment. Actually, that's wild. Okay, so
wait.
Yeah,
just before you get to it, I was going to check out Chainsaw Man, right?
Chainsaw Man.
I was going to check out Mob Psycho because one of my mods keeps telling me to do it, so I have to watch it for him.
He fucking loves Mob
and
Psycho, right?
I have really been told to check out Berserk in some form. They're the three that I know I've been told, and I do think I'll be interested in. So
okay. So Berserk is wild because that is like the inspiration for so much cool stuff that we see in video games, that we see in other media, that we see in anime. Like Dark Souls wouldn't, all these things wouldn't exist without Berserk. The issue is it's very unfortunate what often happens with mangakas and people who work creating manga, where I don't know why. Maybe it's the tough scheduling or the tough work hours. I think sometimes they'll, in Japan, it's like 16-hour work days and stuff like that. These guys do not last very long, right? And unfortunately, the Berserk author has passed away as well. So that story, it's going to be finished by the people who worked with him, but it's not going to be finished by him, obviously. They're using his drafts, I think. Yeah. But for me, that's just like, that's so bad when the story doesn't get... This is what Game of Thrones fans are so worried about with George R.R. Martin, that he's not going to finish.
He should probably just not finish the book in general.
We've got the High School of the Dead guy distracted by hentai. We've got George R.R. Martin distracted by... I'm going to make another 2 Game of Thrones shows, I'm going to work on Elden Ring 3, Yeah. Evangelion is a fantastic anime, but it's maybe not for somebody who's like new into anime, because the whole idea is you're watching... I don't know if you've ever seen like a mecha show. You watch Power Rangers when you were younger, right? So it's like a Power Rangers thing, right? Where it's, these guys, they're going to get into the big suits and they're going to fight the big monsters. But then it's all of a sudden you're hit with, what would the psychological trauma be if you put a kid in a giant robot and told him to fight a monster, right? And it, as the show progressed, it was coming out week to week and it was being made in that time period.
Like in the week.
Yeah. And the creator was going through just like, he was having such a horrible time. He was really depressed, and he changed the story to fit his depression. So the main character just becomes the most nihilistic, like, he's not a guy that you really root for. Shinji, he is just like the embodiment of depression. And the show, by the end of it, ran out of budget. So the final 2 episodes are literally a slideshow. It's like a PowerPoint presentation. And as a piece of artwork, it's incredible to see. And it's about kind of losing your humanity, or like the human consciousness as a whole. So story-wise, they make it work, but it's if you're not a fan of anime, it'll probably be the wackiest thing you'll ever see. But it's very weird. They did come back and they made a movie which actually did the story how he intended it to be once they got more money, because Evangelion also is so it's so huge, and that has also influenced like everything else. So Evangelion is great. I don't know if it would be great for you. You've already checked out Death Note. One of my favorite animes of all time is called Clannad, and that is a slice of life that just gets really dramatic. And I've never cried so much watching anything by the end of that. Steins Gate. Check out Steins Gate.
That one is actually on my list.
I think it's like first 12 episodes is just like slice of life. You're watching it and you're just like, oh, this is nice. And you kind of forget that it's supposed to be a sci-fi horror fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
And it just goes places. And if you want just straight up horror gore, check out Elfen Lied. It's only like 6 episodes. That's fantastic. It's spelled Elfen Lied. And cool. Check out Corpse Party. That started as a video game. That's I think that's only like 4 episodes, and it's just that's you gore horror right there, Splatfest. That's my anime.
I forgot to mention it as well that I did watch another anime, but I'm going to upset a lot of people by saying what I'm about to say. I watched Attack on Titan.
Have you seen it?
I gave Attack on Titan. I watched as far as season 3 and I got bored. There we go. I've upset people.
Attack on Titan. Okay.
Right now,
okay.
Right. Let me just say.
Did you get to the cellar?
No, I think I got about midway through the season and I can't keep attention on it. First season had me. I was like, this is actually really cool. I like this. This is good. Second season was like, okay, I'm vibing with it. And when I for some reason just got in.
When it starts adding in the twists in, you're just like, okay, this is some anime bullshit now.
Yeah,
I liked it when it was just giants attacking like the town that they the city, the ring cities that they live in.
Yeah,
but then it's like, oh no, the giants are actually. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah,
but I think that was.
I understand why you wouldn't enjoy that, and you would get bored about how just where it goes, right?
Yeah. And then there's like, obviously there's another big one that I do want to check out. It's Cowboy Bebop, but that's like everybody talks about it. So I'm like, okay, I'll check it. But there's other big ones that are like One Punch Man and fucking like My Hero Academia. I'm just like, I don't think they're my thing.
So there's a genre called shonen, and that's just like your week to week for your young teenager like action thing. So that's your Naruto's and your One Pieces and your My Hero Academia is basically Naruto but with superheroes. So I wouldn't recommend those because they're built to go on forever, right?
Yeah. So they're just long and constant. Yeah,
it's just like you're watching a soap basically, right? I mean, if you guys are fans of those, that's completely fine. Like you should enjoy them, right? I've read all of Bleach. I have read all of Fairy Tail. I have read half of One Piece. I've taken part, right? I've done my part. Thank you for your service. I've done my part. And this is why I can say, maybe check out some of the shorter ones. There's some great stories out there. You could spend your entire life watching Naruto, or you could watch like 500 incredible short animes, right?
There's another one that I know. So the video game Cyberpunk came out, and then Edge Runners, the show, came out, right? And I watched that, and anything that's cyberpunky or like futuristic and shit is my thing. So I've been told
I love me some cyberpunk shit, you know.
Avoid the live action movie, but check out Ghost in the Shell. Right?
I've not seen Ghost in the Shell. I have seen Akira. Akira's fucking dope.
Akira's great.
Have you seen Akira?
Wink.
Wink. We might cover more animated movies in future, guys. Wink.
Yeah. Akira, over any of anime that I have experienced, Akira was a different level. I was like, the second it clicked in, the music started playing, my brain was just like, this is for me. This is an anime that is for me.
It's one of the most visually stunning animes of all time as well. And at the time, Disney was doing fucking like 12 FPS, and this was like, all right, we're doing 24 FPS, we're doing 20 FPS. It's going to be the smoothest animation. The camera, like, the way the camera work in it's not a camera. It's just fucking drawn images that are stitched together. But it looks like a camera is like zooming around doing these like camera shots that you just can't possibly do in real life. It's incredible.
It's incredible. And every movie that does the Akira slide, including Nope, every time it happens, I'm like, look, it's the slide.
It's the Akira slide. They did the Akira slide.
It's great.
Yeah.
The entire episode has turned into an anime talk, but while we're doing it, I do want to again call out my brother Dragon Ball from the start at the moment.
Wait, what? What did you say?
He's watching Dragon Ball. My brother, I'm calling him out. He's watching Dragon Ball and everything Dragon Ball from the very beginning at the moment.
I've seen the original series. Not everybody talks about Dragon Ball Z. I've seen Dragon Ball because when I was wanting to watch Z when I was younger, it was only on in French when I lived in Africa, right? So I could never understand what the fuck was happening. But I have seen Dragon Ball, and it's like a nice little fun show. Again, it's one of those shows that's just designed to go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Who's your favorite character in Dragon Ball then?
It's Goku.
Just Goku. Any variant of him. I have a particular one that's mine.
Before he gets his tail cut off and he can turn into King Kong, was pretty cool.
When he can turn into King Kong, you know what? Can't argue. It fucking is.
Yeah. Not enough people know that. Nobody watch the original show, guys. It's fun.
I don't even. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Dragon Ball. I don't even include them as anime. It's just a whole thing of its own where it's too mainstream to even include.
They transcended the cultural barrier, which used to be a thing. It's not so much a thing now. Everybody growing up now watches anime. Like you can buy anime in like a HMV or in like a in a shop. We couldn't buy that when we were younger. We'd have to import it or get like some bullshit copy of eBay. That wasn't a thing.
I think it's a good thing though, because I think it's fantastic.
I think it's great that now people can experience stuff from all cultures. Like, I mean, K-pop is like some of the biggest.
It's huge. It's everywhere.
Yeah, right.
It is good because, like, again, like when we're growing up, I remember we were like my only like kind of connection to any of that kind of stuff would have been Yu-Gi-Ohs and Pokemons and Dragon Ball and just watching that on mainstream. And then I'm growing up and I'm a teenager and I'm learning in school that there's all these fucking like shows that have 1,000 episodes and movies that are fucking like referenced in American movies, but they're all over there and I had no clue. I was watching Cartoon Network and
whenever you're watching
that's my connection.
They're doing 1,000 references and you're just like, what are you talking about?
This is everything is referenced in The Simpsons. What do you anime is? What do you mean? But yeah, that's kind of my connection to it. It's nice.
I've just had a sudden thought. The Simpsons, Wes Anderson.
I think this podcast has gone on too long.
Okay,
it's time to lose it.
Well, no, because The Simpsons has referenced every movie we've seen so far. Okay, there's The Dad Feelings Limited is an episode from 2021. Okay, so that's like the Dad Limited.
So there's definitely a connection in there.
Okay,
cool. Okay,
guys, we next week Steve has chosen an incredible movie that we're going to cover, that we're going to watch. It's called Battle Royale. It's one of my favorite movies ever. I love this film. I cannot wait to rewatch it for the podcast. Have you seen it before, Bex?
Yeah, I've watched it a few times. Yeah, I really like it too.
Okay, great. I've got the manga. The manga's so dope. The movie's fantastic. I can't wait to talk more about the movie. Before I told you I would link Death Note to Battle Royale. The actor who plays Light Yagami in live action also plays Shiya Nanahara, the main character in Battle Royale.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I got lots to say about Battle Royale. I will save it for next week. Thank you all for listening to us and for hitting that like button and subscribing on YouTube and following on Spotify and giving us 5-star reviews and commenting, because that's the best. It's so dope. You got anything you want to say before we finish this off?
Anybody that made it this far, make sure you put it in the comments as well. Rest in pies, Steve, because he left us today. So make sure you let him know that he rested in pies. That's all I've got.
He needs to rest in pies.
He needs to rest in pies.
Somebody give Steve some apple cider, before we push him into the sewer. Let's give him some apple cider, some of that sweet golden goodness. All right, guys, it's been dope. Thanks, everybody.
Bye bye.
Ladies.
Bye.